Caucus of the Jersey City Municipal Council. Today is Monday, the 26th day of March in the year 2018. We had a 5:30 p.m. start. It's 5:44 p.m. Present, Councilperson Ridley.
She's on her way. Yeah, she told me.
Prinzeri.
Here.
Baggiano.
Yeah.
Yun.
Yeah.
Solomon.
Here.
Robinson. Dan Rivera is not here. Joyce Waterman is here. And the council president is here. We're going to be missing Dan for the entire meeting?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Are we ready to begin?
Whenever you're ready, sir. Whenever you're ready, sir.
So we could have a moment of silence for Officer Torres. Thank you. Condolences go out to his family.
Can I just bring up a couple of issues while we have 7 of us here? And I spoke to you earlier about it. One of them, I'll leave out the redevelopment part because we'll get that straightened out. But there's a couple of things. The police radio room. I've been speaking to the people in the police radio room, and 3 of us at a time should go down there, talk to some of the operators, and speak to the people and find out what the heck is going on down there. As I said, when they were here last week, last caucus meeting, we don't need no outside people coming in here. All we need is just the police department to take back the radio room, pay the people, a better salary. We're losing people leaving, we're training them and leaving, going to other departments making $20,000, $30,000 more. And what we need is, another issue is, as I said, we should bring in some retired cops or a few active cops. We never had these problems before until they civilianized the radio room. The other issue is Joe Kuna has been great with Waldo and Newark Avenue. But we have a problem there, and I'm telling the city, if a kid gets killed or hurt, this city is gonna be responsible for it. Because what's going on there is that Joe has been great, and so, but Fletcher doesn't want to listen, neither does Fields Construction want to listen. And kids are crossing, about 50 kids cross that intersection, have to cross Newark Avenue, walk down, cross 7th Street, and it is dangerous. And the cops have to be there till 4 o'clock. Today they were gone at 3, they let them go, and kids were crossing. And these are grammar school kids from number 5 school. So I'm putting everybody on warning, something happens, but thank you, Joe, for all you've done. You've been great.
Joe, can you speak a little bit more to what's going on there?
Yeah, we have a confluence of 2 projects. One MUA project, one is a private development. It's been extremely difficult to coordinate between the 2. We have done our best so far, considering the hundreds of thousands of vehicles that pass in this area. We've written some strict traffic laws. They've been followed, somewhat, not always. Councilman's correct about that. And we've beefed up the level of police protection on that, on both those projects. As a matter of fact, the MUA.
You had strict what? What kind of? You said you put in some strict.
Our traffic permits, which allow the usage of the right-of-way.
And they're not abiding by the traffic permits?
They have not always been, no. No, there have been issues on both sides, but we've maintained the best civility in that matter and trying to follow the permits. What Councilman's referring to is actually the protection there left early. I don't know if it was a miscommunication. It's written in the permit, so the hours of operation. It is possible that the contractors may have sent them home early. But from my understanding, the work was going on and there was no protection there, so I think that was the conflict of late. Sounds like it started last Friday, Thursday?
Sorry.
Last Friday.
If they're not followed what the city requested, then we cannot shut down the site to protect the kids, that's all.
We can, actually, what happened over this weekend in downtown, as of this morning, all permits were revoked, and at that point, it's in the police's hands.
Who initiates the revocation of the permit?
In this case, the traffic department, myself, I did an override this weekend to revoke a permit in a different part of the city. We're gonna have to sit down and coordinate with both contractors again, get firm schedules on when they're gonna be finished. Sounds like the MUA was supposed to be done by the end of the MUA project, by the end of March, so we're crossing our fingers that they stick to that. Once that occurs, and this massive water transmission pipe is completed in the cemetery entrance, they'll be able to button up, remove the Jersey barrier, restripe the roadway, and open up the sidewalk, which would alleviate the need for the kids to cross. Right now, they're crossing because the sidewalk is permanently closed. I should say temporarily closed, 24/7.
So it's interesting to me, you said there was a project downtown that was closed, shut down, permits revoked, right? What prompted, you initiated that, but what prompted you to initiate the revocation in that case?
Various infractions. That project was proceeded on a different path. They were being blatantly not followed, the permits.
How
This
were you
other
aware of
cases,
that?
Emails over this weekend that I intercepted, and some were sent to me, some were sent to Councilman Solomon,
From community folks?
administration, not administrator, I'm sorry, mayor's office.
Are you getting similar things with the situation on Newark Avenue?
Yes, but
Emails?
it's a lot more complicated there because of the two entities. It's double everything. So one entity down at the bottom is causing the closure of the sidewalk 24/7 because there's open pits. They're protected, but they are open. You can't walk across the sidewalk. The sidewalk's open. So what happens is you have to cross uphill at Waldo to the other side of Newark, go down, and if you want to get back to the south side of Newark, you got to cross at 7th. At the two pedestrian refuge islands that were installed about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, we already had one car accident where a young lady was killed because of those barricades that are out there. So I just,
So what needs to be done to ensure safety? Let's not have this continue. Like,
I'm going to speak to the chief's office tomorrow
Yeah.
and have him ensure that the patrolmen are there until the contractors are gone. And if there's any issues with that, that's up to, obviously, one is very controllable with the MUA, and the other one, as far as police protection, has been very cooperative, the other contractor. So I'm not sure what happened. It was communication today. I'm not exactly sure, but apparently it's been going on since Thursday. So that's 3 days now.
Councilman, is this an ongoing, daily, issue?
so you've been great. You know, it's been going on actually for a couple of months, back and forth. You know, they just don't seem to give a damn, being perfectly honest.
They being the
The
contractor?
developer, you know, they close the streets, they bring in trucks. Newark Avenue is a highway, basically, going down. You know, and splits between your ward and my ward, we separate at the cemetery. And there's a lot of kids that go down, and a lot of high school kids too, that go to Dickinson High School that walk that route. So it's gotta be enforced, and they have to understand they have to keep the cops there, and, you know, they have to obey by the rules. They were started, by the way, at 6 o'clock in the morning last week. I have a girl took pictures of them, 6 o'clock, and I go up and tell them to get the heck out of there.
Council,
So who was the, you can identify the officers for us, who are supposed to be there on duty?
But Joe,
Council Richard said you and both Joe and Andrew did a great job. If they made a great job, then the problem has supposed to be disappeared.
no,
And,
they,
you know, really, I mean, really,
only do so much, right?
that's what I'm saying. If there's so much, and Andrew and Joe can do only so much, and then because of they only can do so much, the problem continue to happen many, many weeks and months now. Then already, seaside, we give it enough time and notice already. Then what happened, we have to do that, time to take action. Shut down the site to let them run the hard way. Because of public safety, especially the Dickinson High School, we just keep talking, go nowhere. Already we give enough time. How many months already? You know, because Andrew Joe did a great job, but the great job is not great enough to solve the problem. Then last solution, while we have the mitigation plan, shut down the shop, let them learn it, let them come to you and Andrew to sit down with you guys, come up plan, period. Don't give it too nice to them.
I would agree.
Yeah, that's it. They all agree. That's the way we're going.
Yeah.
It's a safety issue, so.
Yes.
So they're
Yes.
not abiding by the rules.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So it's gonna involve multiple departments.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, the
Doesn't
multiple or
I-
triple,
No
doesn't
problem.
matter.
I'll
Shut
take
down
it-
the place, let them come out solution.
We're gonna have to take it to the next level. We're gonna have to have a meeting
Yes,
with all the departments.
I don't want to hear the counter.
Which other
I just wanna be
departments
clear,
are involved?
I just wanna be clear, engineering and traffic have no enforcement power whatsoever.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Just
saying.
so you know, it falls to
Police,
public safety,
So who
police,
can shut down the site?
construction code.
construction, if it's beyond onto the property,
Okay.
outside of the right of way.
You can revoke the permit for street access. Correct.
Yes. And notify them.
Yes.
But that's the same as, I don't know, I can't think of an analogy
That
right now.
has to be
I can't
enforced.
take it, I can't find.
Our council was already a lot of stress already. Don't give them more stress, please. All right. And also, let me finish this one. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I talked to him once.
And the council president?
Yes.
And the councilman Michael Yoon has a new aide. His name is Baron Richardson. Baron, can you introduce? Yes, yeah. So we all know that my new aide. He's going to serve that,
Help.
I know that he feels sorry to, but it's okay, right?
Public safety.
Oh, boy,
Can they-
Bob's gonna drop
they-
bombs
Who can
tonight.
shut it down? I'm just not clear. It seems like we ain't doing nothing.
The construction code officials.
Bob, could you make it clear to me? Because too many
The
voices.
construction code official has that authority to shut down a site for any violations such as that. I was just talking to Joe about reaching out to him right
That's
away.
Ray Meyer.
Yeah, Ray Meyer. So he spoke to him yesterday. So we'll follow up again today. And we'll also speak to Director Shea about if the police officers staying for as long as they're supposed to stay. The job they can leave once the job is over, not when contractors say, because they don't want to pay an extra $50 an hour, whatever it is.
Can you send us an email? Let us know if they're gonna shut down the site or what? Okay.
We don't want the mitigation plan after finish the construction, you know what I'm saying? So please, all right.
Okay.
Okay. Rich, does that cover it?
Yeah. I think, Rolando, you should set up something with us, and we should go down there, sit down and talk.
Anyone who wants to take the trip to the radio room, Margaret will arrange to do that. I don't know.
Bishop Street.
Bishop Street. Is it Baker? Baker.
Baker.
I would coordinate through Director Shea's office.
Chain of command.
Okay. Let's continue with our agenda now. Anyone else have anything that's not on the agenda that needs to be discussed? Okay, Brian? Yes, Councilman.
What is the name? The Bob K. is the last council caucus meeting? I just want to make sure.
It is my last caucus.
You gotta say something. Really. Why I say that, we have 3,200 city employees serve this city and the people of Georgia City. But I give a lot of credit to Bob K. He's a very honorable man. And I know that unfortunate things happen, but our heart always with you. You did a great job. And you are pretty lucky because you served at the business industry while economic go up. So a lot of things. Oh, is that right? I know that. But say something to us. You know what the people of Georgia say. Can't you close his face a little bit?
Give my good side. Again, I leave after almost 33 years, and it's been my whole adult life, so it's not easy. This is all I know. So I've made a lot of friends, a lot of good lifelong friends. So I'm going to miss this place. The city is my first love. Born and raised here. Met my wife here. Raised my kids here for a short time. My dad is still here, so it's tough. But it's time for a new challenge. I appreciate all support this council has given me over the years. I appreciate you challenging me, and you have challenged me. So, but it's made me better, and I appreciate that. It's been a great experience, and I appreciate the opportunities. And I wish you all well, and the city is in good hands right now, so, you know, I feel good about that, and moving on to the next venture. So, again, thank you, and I wish you guys good luck as well.
Nice, the most beautiful proclamation and the resolution for the Bob K, okay? Really, thank you. You do a great job. We appreciate it, you know.
I'm gonna save my comments till the council meeting, yeah. If anyone else would like to share anything.
No,
Leave your phone number to Rutherford, as we call it.
I'll give you a number.
All right.
I'll definitely give you a number.
Okay. Brian, you have 10Y.
That's correct. Resolution authorizing award to the third lowest bidder to renovate, fully renovate Engine 15, which has been on the books for a number of years. We're going with the third lowest bidder because the first two bids were found to be non-responsive, working with purchasing and the various contractors involved to date.
What does that mean, non-responsive?
Well, it means they didn't get their paperwork in to satisfy the letter of the law that the Division of Purchasing runs. And, well, it was both paperwork. One was actually during the bid, they didn't have the paperwork in, and the other one was they were non-responsive when we were asking for backup information, and they didn't properly notify us as to who certain subcontractors were. So those first two bids got rejected.
Can I ask a quick question then?
Certainly.
When I see that the list of the repairs or improvement that was there, but do they have any shower room in their place? Shower room.
Sure. Yes.
The shower room that need any repairs and improvement?
Yes, it's comprehensive. Everything is included.
But when I see the list is not there, that's why I'm asking you.
Well, this is a condensed version. I mean, the full specification covers everything, you know, it's comprehensive.
And the shower is included.
Yes, absolutely.
Just want to make
Yep,
sure, because
yep.
when you spend.
Actually, I'm sorry, it does, in my memo, it does say new toilet rooms and kitchen. It's all in the same line. But this is a brief summation of the entire project.
So we want to make sure, when you spend the $1.7 million, you understand,
Certainly.
they include, right?
Where is Engine 15?
So-
So this is the same one that put, we added the money. Yeah, the
Yes.
appropriation, got it.
And the locker room too, right?
Living quarters,
The locker room is a different
Living
thing.
quarters.
living
Yeah,
quarters.
is that right?
Yes.
It's okay.
Has, yeah.
Any questions?
Just briefly, like, when you guys, is there a committee that reviews these bids, or how do you sort of decide upon the, you know, this third lowest bidder, obviously the first two being rejected?
Well, by law, we always go with the lowest.
Purchasing does its due
Yep.
diligence. Works in order, and if they're not in order, they let the
Yes.
department know, so they're eliminated. Then Brian and his team, because of the specialty, will review the specs to make sure it complies. Assuming the low bidder complies, we are forced by law to take the low bidder.
Okay.
Required by law, unless you have prior negative experience, that you've had prior negative experience, you cannot eliminate someone.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Brian. I'm gonna bring up Bernadette.
Oh, Brian, do you have one request? Can you send email to me that just email simply, I'm waiting for the response from the current from the review regarding for, you know, plant proof, you know what I'm saying? Sure. So I got say, you know, okay? Thank you, yeah.
Are you starting at Z2? Z2 is a contract to Software House International support of proprietary spatial logic software licenses under state contract.
Yes, SDL, Spatial Data Logic, SDL is also how it's referred to, is the primary application that's used with construction and permitting. It's used by HEDC as well as HHS, and we are actually lowering our cost this year. We had previously contracted for 300 licenses, but we have not been using that many licenses. So we found that 100 licenses will be sufficient for us.
So we pay by how many people do you use it?
The application has certain thresholds.
Yeah.
It's for very small entities, it starts at as low as 5, I believe, and, 10, 20, 50, that kind of thing. And then it jumps from 50 to 100, and then from 100 to 300. So there's really nothing in between 100 and 300. And last year, when we renewed, I had asked the question of how many we were using, and we didn't have a sufficiently comprehensive inventory to be able to answer that question, so we continued with the amount that we had had in the past. But this year, we had that inventory conducted, and we realized that we just were not using that many licenses, so that's why we're lowering it.
So 300 license use, right?
We are currently using about 85. We're currently using about 85.
85.
Any other questions on Z2?
Is that,
The initial,
sorry, the question would be, do you guys have to, will you do a similar review of kind of all our different licenses?
Yes.
Because if we
Yes.
have the undercover that we were,
we have been doing
Do
that,
that,
yes. And this was the first year. We didn't, we still have a little bit of growing pains to go. My staff isn't used to the whole concept of, tracking these sorts of things, so, but we are working that. There are a couple other places where we have significantly reduced our licensing, as well, but most of them aren't, of a value that ends up rising to the
Before us,
council,
sure.
right, correct.
okay.
So this software also is invented the vacant building, but also that through this software, people are able to register vacant buildings through this software. Or they can pay the registration fee for the.
This is, it's not something that the outside public is using. This is an internal software. So the inspectors use it when they go, the Stacy's people use it, the building department's using it, some of Pastomato's staff's using it. So it's supposed to have and traffic's using it as well. Basically, it's a database of each property in the city, so, now it could be.
Yeah, there actually is a web interface, so if somebody has a construction permit and they want to see the status of it as it's being reviewed, they're able to do that.
But
So-
pay the registration fee. Well, construction fee now.
No, not
Okay.
currently.
Just to see that the processing of
They
that.
see
Councilman, remember, Council President, when we talked about the credit card,
Yeah.
recent resolution, I talked about there was a certain software that we were looking at maybe replacing. This is the software I was referring to. We're gonna do an in-house analysis to determine if this is the best way to go, or if there's another product out there that works better for all our end users, plus that will work with us on the credit card side.
We have some really good experience with this software, and we also have some not so good experience with this software. So we're trying to see if maybe another solution might have a more broadly successful thing for all of the departments to use.
Okay. The next item, 10Z3.
This,
That's an award of contract to Dell for the delivery of computer data storage equipment under state contract.
it's actually for a server as well, and it is replacing equipment that we have that's end of life over at the courthouse. And the need for the storage is because of their recording system and the amount of data that they are generating through that system. So we need a pretty large storage unit, so that's why the cost is higher than most of our servers or storage.
Questions for Board members?
Can't put this on the cloud?
So, no, not right now.
Explain the state contract. So like, do you look at multiple vendors when you go straight contract? Yeah? And did you pick the lowest in this case, or you?
Yes.
You did?
Well, we also have, most of our server resources are with Dell. And so there is some economy that we get from using the same kind of equipment from a knowledge standpoint. So we do, have a little bit of a heavily weighted towards what we already currently know how to use, but we always do check on those other solutions. And we have been moving a few things into different areas based on price. This last year, our firewall, as an example, we've used a different vendor now because it came back with a much better price. Okay.
And efficiency.
I would just ask Bob, if, when we get these contracts for, I know it's your last meeting, but to notify the other folks that state contract, if they're looking at multiple quotes, that maybe a summary of what the quotes are and the numbers around that kind of going forward. Again, there's just emphasis on trying to find the best, right, price, so. Let's see. We're gonna go with the Barca and Andrews show. Get several items between the two of you. 3 items.
3 total, yes.
10S, 10T, 10U. 10S, 10T, 10U. STU.
10S and 10T are both street closures for repeat events. If there's any questions with those. If not, I'll just jump into the next one, which is 10U, which is a resolution authorizing the use of competitive contracting to award a contract for consultant services needed for the development of the Vision Zero action plan. We have been working with purchasing. We are scheduled to advertise that RFP on Wednesday, April 4th. Proposals will be due Tuesday, May 1st, and we're scheduled to award the contract at the May 23rd meeting.
Questions from council? Andrew.
Could you explain a little more the Vision Zero action plan?
Yeah, absolutely. So the action plan is one of the requirements that was included in the Mayor's Executive Order 18001. Essentially, what that executive order did was create a task force to achieve the goal of Vision Zero, which is to eliminate traffic fatalities and severe injuries. So the executive order did 2 things. It created the task force, and it also required that we prepare an action plan within 1 year of the signing of that executive order, which is standard for all of the various cities throughout the country that have adopted that Vision Zero initiative.
You know the difference between us and the other cities throughout America? We don't have a traffic division, police. We don't have motorcycles anymore. They've destroyed the police department in that sense, and that's why we're having all these problems. 36 years on the police department, I've never seen it like it is now. We have to bring back the motorcycles. We have to create a traffic unit, a division, like it was, with professional guys and girls on the motorcycles, etc. You don't need any traffic vision. The mayor doesn't need any of this. It just comes down to common sense.
So now, second question is that the funding, where they come from, the funding from the taxpayer or any grant?
For this, actually, it comes from the executive order allows us to use the budgets of the engineering and the planning departments.
The reason is that I'm supporting that idea. It's a great idea, but my concern is that, last time, I think 3 months ago, actually, the traffic engineer department provided one of the database regarding for all the city location as the most car accident, pedestrian accident list that they provide. And we, as a city of Jersey, knows that where is the most dangerous areas of car and the pedestrian. But I didn't hear any action plan from the city of Jersey itself, from the traffic engineer department or any division of the city of Jersey, because we have 300 accidents certain year, 200 accidents certain year, and we should be, as a city of Jersey, should take a certain actions for that area, but I didn't see anything yet. And about willing to go out, spend, I don't know how much will be, probably $30, $40, $50, $60,000 to hire a consulting company. They tell us that what we have to do. But actually, your department, as a director of the traffic engine, you know what you have to do. I mean, that's why I scratch my head. First things we gotta do what we can do before we ask somebody else. You know?
So the development of the action plan, one of the reasons that we need consultant services is in preparing that action plan, there is going to be an intensive amount of data collection and processing. Essentially what every action plan associated with Vision Zero looks like is you take a look at the past 10 years of crashes, right? And you categorize them into different categories. So severe, moderate types of crashes, whether the crash involves pedestrians. And then you take those crashes and you geocode them so that you can perform a spatial analysis to figure out where they are occurring and see if you could determine any trends, which takes a considerable amount of manpower. So that's one of the things that the consultant will be doing. There's also a robust community outreach effort as a part of the development of this action plan, which the consultant will be assisting us with.
See, now, you say right. Because as a councilman served at the 5 years, everybody probably has the same page with me. We hired a consulting company for transportation issues citywide. We hired a consulting company, so many. But unfortunately, every department or division have no manpower implement their plans. So we just continue waste, I can say the waste taxpayer dollars, something we cannot even put into actions. I mean, what is the sense to have it? Because out there, a lot of people increase the tax of $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 crime, but we're willing to spend the $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, something we cannot even do anything.
Sure.
So
one of the interesting things about...
This is what it is. I'm telling you.
Sure.
If we spend the $50,000 consulting company, if we spend the $50,000 to purchase stop sign with a blank light, if we put in those things, 20 locations, most dangerous are pedestrian car, probably you can cut down the 30 to 40% accident right there. You know, I mean, really, Andrew, you're the most educated person in the traffic engineering department. To be a director, be this size of city, probably you're the most well-known those kind of things. But your talent, your knowledge, we bury somebody, we go outside, bring up to somebody, tell us you, not me, tell you what you have to do.
Andrew, really, we don't need any consultants. Bring back the motorcycle squad, bring back a traffic division in this city here, and you'll solve all the problems.
Let me talk about.
You know what I'm saying?
Let me talk a little bit about.
Let's allow Andrew to.
Yeah, let me talk a little bit about what we were tasked with as a result of the executive order. The executive order requires that we prepare an action plan within 1 year. So we have to provide an action plan for review to the council by February, I think it's 8th, 2019. Which is it's an extremely short amount of time in order to prepare that, right? That's one of the reasons we need consultant support. If we award a contract May 23rd, that leaves us with 8 months and 19 days in order to put together an action plan. One of the interesting things about the action plan, which I think you'll find positive, is that each of the recommendations and tasks comes with specific timelines and specific metrics in order to figure out whether or not we're achieving the goals that we set out in that action plan. And all of that will be have a level of transparency that no other effort in the city with regards to traffic safety has ever happened. Yes. Sure.
So you have to do it because we are under him. But council is different. First things, when I see the 2018 budget, there was no such item to funding for those kind of actions to take it. We don't have put any dollar amount for bring up those plans come up to expedite that plan. We have no budget there.
Capital dollars, Councilman. It's capital dollars.
Yes, because we didn't see the capital budget yet.
They're using
Right.
money right now.
You understand? So now, my concern
For the plan, yes.
My concern is that if a mayor willing to pay those kind of plan by his pocket, let him do it. But city council is not there yet. You know, so now the they always say that if you want to be a good person to be managing, then you have to do is what you have. We already database all the dangerous location like a citywide, pedestrian or car.
Those resources, those databases are not good enough for this process. So the resources that we have right now in order to perform those analyses are developed by the New Jersey Department of Transportation. And they're, to be blunt with you, subpar. They're not good. And they don't provide the level of detail that we need in order to do this the right way. So one of the things that this consultant will be tasked with doing is coming up, basically creating, filling that gap that the New Jersey Department of Transportation should be doing, and doing it for Jersey City specifically.
All right.
And you'll be able to see the results of that through a public-facing website that will be monitored throughout the entire process.
And it won't stop us from continuing on all the projects that we're working on already in terms of implementation, and all of those, the way we choose them is from those lists that you mentioned. So all of the priority intersections and priority corridors that we get from NJTPA, NJDOT, which rate high based on crash numbers, whenever we apply for projects for implementation, we use those lists as our guide. So we're going to continue doing all the implementation and safety projects that we've been doing. This is a way to not look at one street on its own, but to look at it as a network and think about what are the patterns that are causing these issues to happen, even with all of the improvements that we've been making. So it's a different way of looking at it.
As long as you make sure you know better than anybody else. So I respect your opinion, so let's go with you. But urgently, Summit Avenue, the Hague Street, Summit Avenue, North Street, those areas, especially Patterson Street, the senior building next up, they have so many car accidents to come up, and over the 5 years I crying for the help that still we get nothing done. If we have no money to put a traffic light cost of $300,000, but at least put a blink stop light, so people come from the side street, get into somebody where they have something, you know what I'm saying? So can't you take that action first then?
So, I mean, I could talk about each of those intersections specifically. So regarding Summit and Patterson, we conducted the analysis that's needed to figure out whether or not we should install a traffic signal there, and it didn't meet the thresholds that we need. And we follow those thresholds which are recommended by the Federal Highway Administration, because if you install traffic control measures at intersections where they're not warranted, it leads to drivers not complying with those types of traffic control measures at other locations. So, for example, if we were to install a stop sign at that intersection of Summit and Patterson, right?
It's there, but you know what I'm saying? Because the stop sign is there, but right. I mean, we at least give some attention for driver,
right,
to some blink light.
Blinking lights.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've conducted an extensive amount of research with regards to blinking stop signs, and there's no research that supports their use in urban settings.
Andrew, you have different opinion. We did that, discussed a couple of times already. Based on our research, regular stop sign with a blink stop sign, they make difference, reduce 30 to 40% accident right there.
I would be happy to look at those resources. Everything that I've found. Everything that I've found is in a rural setting. This is an entirely different situation, an entirely different context. But I'll be happy to look at any resources you pass along.
So when I see our research, because if we go Union City, Union City Mass branch, they do a great job. I feel like it's not necessarily blink stop sign, but they put the blink stop sign everywhere. When I go with that blink stop sign, make me actually slow down, stop. Because I think that's human nature, one of the part of it, So we should bring up those kinds of spots, especially Patterson and the Summit Avenue. We gotta just take some action for that area, okay? As soon as possible, all right?
Pass along those resources, I'll take a look.
All right, good. I'll pass the research, okay? Good.
Thank you.
Anyone have questions regarding Vision Zero?
A quick request, can you guys email the council just sort of the basic stats on pedestrian deaths, not just pedestrian, but traffic fatalities, injuries, so we all know the kind of the scope of the problem that we're dealing with?
Absolutely.
Thanks.
So we're gonna have that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll be an email.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I should just add that the executive order is, my understanding, being amended to include a council member, which was not included previously, so hopefully that will, as well as the BA. Oh, okay.
Shake it up.
And
Yeah.
I will, I received this morning a draft of the RFP. I'll share that with the council unless there's some issue with sharing that. Is it?
I think we did just add some slight changes, so we'll send you the.
We'll send it to you, the most recent one up, the first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay, great.
And we ask, so we're looking to advertise Wednesday, the 4th, so if you could give us comments by Thursday, that would be very much appreciated.
And you said to add maximum price for that? Because when I read that, the consulting company they hired, but they didn't mention to the price wise, maximum so on, so nothing?
I'd rather not mention price at this point unless I have to, because this is a public meeting. If I say the price, everyone's proposals will come in at that number.
We could provide a number, an expected amount of hours.
Okay.
We could provide that. And then you multiply it by your prevailing rate, and it'll be big.
Big. Okay, other questions? Hearing none?
Rudy, nobody catching traffic. How lucky he is.
I'm going to bring up George Stamato and then Joe Goodman. George Stamato is 10Z and 10Z1. And you asked to go first. I just read that.
That's okay.
Promise. Okay, we have two items. First item is 10Z. It's in reference to fertilizer at various locations and aeration at various locations in the city as far as the ball fields are concerned. Should be a list of ball fields in the packet. I believe there's 11 different locations, and the price on that was for $39,600, and it's good to December 31st of 2018.
Can our park maintenance, we cannot do that?
We don't have that type of equipment. We need, it's aeration equipment, it's totally different than anything that we have. And as far as the fertilizer is concerned, you have to be basically a licensed contractor in order to handle the fertilizers. I mean, we could, but, we didn't put that in our budget as far as aeration equipment. And you know what? This fellow's been doing it for a long period of time, and he's been very good in doing it versus where he would have a learning curve. So rather than go into that expense, I'd rather put money into lawn mowers and things of that nature where we, keep our ball fields up to speed. Yeah, basically, yes. Yes. There were basically 3 quotes, and this fellow became, yeah, right, exactly.
3 quotes.
And he was under the threshold.
Why is it quotes as opposed to bids?
We felt that basically it would be under the threshold.
What's under the threshold?
It's under the threshold. Otherwise, if it wasn't, we would have to go out to bid. And again, for the amount of work that he does, and like I said, practices and the quality of the work, we were satisfied with the number.
Do we reach out to, so if we're going out for quotes, do we reach out to diversity and inclusion and their contractors on this?
I believe they did. This was done through Parks and Forestry. And he understands basically, we're looking for local people to bid on this, and I believe he was in touch with
I think so.
diversity. I mean, I'll find out for sure. I mean, they all know that the different departments know that we have to include, not that we have to, but, we want to include them.
Any other questions?
Quick question, not related to this, but where are you guys in the process of, it was 2 meetings ago, looking at the other basketball courts and tennis courts?
We put a lot of that into our budget going forward. We're starting that process.
Okay.
There is a meeting tomorrow up in Persian Field. Any of the council is welcome to attend that meeting. We are starting to do that. Our plan basically is to go and replace whatever needs to be replaced in the parks, whether it's the tennis courts, the basketball courts, the track, and, you know, not replace it, but repair it.
Yeah, I mean, my recollection was from the original bid that came before us, only had like, you know, half to two-thirds of the basketball courts and none of the tennis courts.
That's correct.
Are you guys gonna come back with a bid, or what's gonna kind of the process?
What we
Or
did
including
was,
the other-
right now, what we're doing is, if I'm not
That's
mistaken,
in the capital budget request.
that was already,
In your capital budget.
that's correct.
Coming to you soon. So for this,
Yeah, that's all about that.
I mean, we have some, you know, the scope of work compared to what we did before, it's gonna be a lot greater. So you guys are gonna basically have the opportunity to look at that and, you know, definitely say yes or no.
So, you know, okay.
Yes, sir.
To mention to the capital, the budget. So when I see that the budget book, we have to need $82 million to capital improve budget to accommodate the most requests to City of Jersey. Now,
We have
2018, yeah.
We did get all the requests in at $84 million, actually. So we've met with all the directors, we've kind of asked them to prioritize their needs for this year. That number's been whittled down. I'm actually meeting with the mayor tomorrow to show him what, you know, the recommendation will be. And that should be going to the council at the next meeting in April.
So now, what is the reasonable amount for capital improve the budget for the 2018? Before you go, you can tell the truth.
I always tell the truth. Gets me in trouble sometimes. So, you know, the budget included the down payment for up to $40 million bond. So in the budget, you'll see a line item called Capital Improvement Fund. I believe it's like $1.5 million. So that's the down payment on a $40 million bond ordinance. If we go above that, we're going to have to increase, during amendment of the budget, increase it. If we're at 40 million, then the budget's good to go.
So that's why my concern is that, you know, around the $40 million.
Rolando, when are we having the budget hearings with us?
No, the Marvel is
Process
working on it.
scheduling?
Yeah, Marvel is working on it.
We're looking at, do you have those dates?
The earliest date we were looking at was April, the week after the next council meetings. The next council meeting's April 11th, so this is 12, 13, 14, 16.
April 14th,
Yeah.
starting.
To be here, we may not have a real BA.
Well, we could try to squeeze them all in the next day and a half, but I don't think that would work.
Say, right, 2018 budget put it together by great man Bob Kay. Now, somebody gonna be answer
They
our,
bring him back as a consultant.
is there somebody have to answer who is the person never involved the budget for the 2018. That's why I scratch my head now.
Well, the budget staff, budget director and CFO are very integral parts of putting that budget together. They can handle. John's a great guy. Donna Mauer's great. They'll be.
Underestimate those directors.
Yeah.
That's a good point. You're right. You're right. I think we should put a plug in for the director's club.
Nationwide switch.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
come back as a
Yeah.
consultant.
Excellent directors.
Will he come back as a consultant?
Justifying the request.
Is there a consulting gig in here? Was that?
I have his phone number, so if there's any problems, I'll definitely give him a call. But we feel confident what we placed in the budget, I feel we'll be very successful in accomplishing.
Joyce agrees with me that, yes,
I agree with him. This is the
first time agrees with me that, yes, Bob Kane is a budget. If we put your new guys up there, it's gonna tough time, yes.
Yeah, it is, that's true though.
I mean, I don't know how they work the city government, but I
And
think
budget
that's
is
enough.
large.
Now, budget is the main things for the city of Jersey, the taxpayer. But middle of the budget hearing, even beginning of the budget hearing, we replace it, business administration. I think that's a very, very bad choice. I think it's very bad for the taxpayer, Jersey City. You know, we gotta tell the truth, right, Bob Kay?
Always.
Stay honest. We love you. All right,
I
so
have
move
one
on.
more item, a small item, it's 10Z1, and this is in reference to Duncan Hardware, and it's to provide small tools, hardware supplies for the entire Department of Public Works, Divisions of Park and Maintenance. Last year, we spent $85,000 we had a contract amount of $178,357.28.
Pat,
Yes, sir.
I know that over the years, I see that Dunkin' Hardware doing great, the business with City of Jersey. But meantime, there are local hardware stores, downtown Heights or Greenville area, there are a lot of small hardware stores are suffering by Home Depot. Can we have some consideration to them businesses spread out the citywide?
The problem is when we go to these places, a lot of them don't want to go through the formality that's required in order to bid. Because of the site, I'm sorry? In some cases, they don't. I mean, I believe at one meeting, I pointed out that I wanted to give an opportunity to, like your, Lowe's and Home Depot, because I felt some of their prices would be cheaper. We are working on that. They do, I believe they did something on a state contract, and we're in the process of reviewing that. I don't have a problem dealing with a local hardware store, but they have to follow the bid requirements.
And to that end, we have a program coming up, doing business in Jersey City, that the new director for diversity and inclusion is
That's correct.
hosting in April, right?
That's correct.
And so if any of those small businesses want to participate in that, they can learn about how to do business and sign up.
Councilman, if you give me a list of these businesses, I'll go and see them personally and see if we can get them to attend that so they can figure out how they can,
Excuse me? Okay, then Vanessa will do it.
But I'm just saying, if you give us a list, we'll forward it over to Vanessa and let Vanessa do it.
Just a quick administrative question. So if the contract is for $178K, but we only spent $85 last year.
Why?
Why not renew it at a lower number?
Sometimes you want to cover yourself by doubling it, and I'll tell you why.
Well, the bid actually listed the potential
Items.
amount of commodities you're gonna purchase in that year. So that's what the vendor bid when he did his unit price.
Okay.
So last year, they obviously didn't buy everything that they thought they would. So again, the contract, the same unit price is based on the unit price times the quantity that could be purchased is why the number is so high. If we don't buy that many, then obviously we don't spend that much.
Right, the bid has to be awarded on the maximum amount,
Okay.
so that's where it comes to.
But you could alter that maximum quantity.
If we had to, but we're trying to stay within in the guidelines, not our guidelines. A lot of things we have to consider too is that if we have a problem with a building that requires certain types of material, according to the bid, we would go to Dunkin' Hardware for that material, which could drive that price up. Simple things. It would be heater lines, stuff like that.
I have a question about this, for the council president, for the director. Wasn't at some point the contractor going to come address us?
That's correct.
Do we have that scheduled?
No, we don't. We were going to do it for the previous snowstorm of the previous meeting. We postponed it, then we had another snowstorm. What I probably figure, if it's all right, I'd like to do it at the next caucus meeting.
It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think I get a lot of constituent issues related to them, so I'd love to have.
This is regional industries.
Snow in April.
Out of the snow?
Well, hopefully
It's
we're
about
over
the
with it.
trash.
The trash.
Whenever they're ready to come, I have my packet
Yeah,
ready
ready,
to give them.
exactly.
Yeah.
What I want to do is basically I'll send out a package to all the council people, and that'll give you the bid, the bid specs and everything else, so you guys can review them if you haven't already.
The guys did great on the snow removals.
Men
Best I've
did
seen
good.
in 40 years, believe me. Now go Army, sink Navy, get going.
Rich, I'd like to invite you down to the Army-Navy game this year.
I
It's
go
down in
every year.
Philly,
I
but,
go last
I hate I'm definitely, it's on the Navy side, so the tickets are only for the Navy
I
side.
have to sit with my sons on West Point.
Oh, okay, all right. Any other questions?
No?
All right, thank you very much.
That'd be good.
I'm gonna, go with the Hudson Regional Commission. So this was this contract agreement came up at the last meeting. It is, $10K.
So this is Carrie Norwalkie from Hudson County Regional.
Recreational. She's the executive director and the health officer, and she'll introduce the staff. This is in response to some of your concerns related to a portion of the contract that we keep with them that we've had in place since 1971. No, this wasn't a late addition. This was prepared and sent and then removed from the caucus meeting 2 weeks ago. And I'm not made aware of what goes on the agenda items. And when I was asked to invite Hudson County Regional 2 weeks ago to further explain this, here they are.
Hi, thank you. As he said, I'm Carrie Naraki. I'm the director at Hudson Regional Health Commission. Louder? Sorry. I have a cold, so I'm going to try my best. What I did bring with me, I thought it might be helpful. It's a couple of documents. I don't know, do you mind passing them around? Thanks. I'll give you a chance to get them. The first document is the director's report for 2017. So that's an annual summary of all of our activities countywide. That can just give you kind of a general overview of what the commission does. I'll wait till you get a chance to have it. Okay, great.
Does everyone have a document?
This was emailed to you.
7 through 9? 10? There you go. Sorry.
Great. So that was the first document in there. You know, it's pretty comprehensive. If you have any questions after you have a chance to read that, my contact information is in the header of both of those reports. The second tab, the yellow tab, that's a report that we prepared specifically for Jersey City. That is our activities for 2017. The first page is a review of our commission history and our structure. The commission was established in 1971 by the 12 municipalities. Every municipality is represented on our board of commissioners. So Jersey City has representation, and so there's a primary representative and an alternate. The Board of Commissioners meets regularly where they approve our budget, they amend our budget, they go over all of our programs. So every municipality has an opportunity to have input into what our programs are. So if you, you can look through that document for Jersey City specifically. On page 6 are the activities that we specifically have done for the city in 2017. Now, I understand last time at the meeting there was some questions about our environmental program. So I brought Nick Ravelli with me. He works in the CHA program, which is the County Environmental Health Act program. I asked him just to go over some of the general details of the program, and then if you had any, I think there may have been some questions regarding noise, so if you have any questions, he might be able to answer that for you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Nick Ravelli. I am the supervisor for several different environmental programs within Hudson Regional. Essentially, we act as the lead agency for DEP in Hudson County. And I'll kind of just go through some of the programs, some of the main programs that are also in those forms. We operate the Air Pollution Control Program, where we conduct inspections and investigations to ensure compliance with the New Jersey Air Pollution Control Code. These include inspections of fuel burning units, other source air pollution sources, as well as investigations from citizens with regard to odor and dust complaints.
And they've been here several times to City Hall.
Right, to assist municipal employees if they have any issues, questions regarding the building and other city sites. We also do the Pest Control Program, which, again, we enforce all provisions of the New Jersey Pest Control Act. That includes a lot of things: bed bug investigations, multifamily residential units, ensuring licensing of commercial landscaping, and as well as checking commercial pest control applicator licenses in the Integrated Pest Management, which is the IPM program with regard to schools, public and private. Again, certain pesticides can't be used within schools, and we kind of ensure that there is compliance there. We also do the Right to Know program for the county. Again, lead agency designated by the State Department of Health. Along with enforcing the Right to Know laws, we also do outreach with citizens as well as workers, and again, answer any questions, provide any information with regard to the Right to Know program. We also do solid waste, where the Commission enforces all the provisions of the New Jersey Solid Waste Management Act. Water pollution as well. Again, investigating any potential water violations with regard to the Water Pollution Control Act. The UST program, which is the Underground Storage Program, we do routine inspections of all gas stations within the county, including Jersey City, and any discharges, whether that be system failure at the gas stations or operator error. We are also one of the hazmat teams in Hudson County. All of our hazmat guys and personnel are CHA certified and trained by the state police to the hazmat tech level as well as incident command. The noise control program, which I think there were some questions, I'll kind of go through it. If you have anything, please, by all means. As the lead agency for noise in Hudson County, we conduct inspections with regard to complaints. In 2017, we responded to many complaints in Jersey City, 35 of which were noise complaints. These complaints are forwarded over from local government agencies. They come through NJDEP, as well as directly from the citizens themselves. I had a chance, and I think maybe this was some of the questions, I think with regard to the local ordinance that was passed in Jersey City, the city adopted the model noise code. It differs slightly from the state code. As a state agency representative, we enforce on the state noise code. There, going through your ordinance, I kind of came across two main differences. One is the state noise code sees a source of noise or a designation of noise, a facility as industrial or commercial, and the receptor as a residential source. The Jersey City Code seems to allow complaints between residents, two residential properties.
I introduced that ordinance over a year and a half ago, and nobody's enforced it. The city's done nothing about it. Haven't trained anybody, haven't gotten any machinery, so it's a farce.
Well, I'm sorry.
So what he's trying to say is it's separate and distinct from the work that we do with them.
People call the county on certain issues, whether it's oil tanks and stuff, and it's like, you can't get any results.
Can I quick question? Couple of questions I have there. Actually, Hudson Regional Health Commission, I never heard that. This is the first time I heard that. Number one. I'm here in Jersey 40 years. I moved to government like 37. It's the first time I heard that. And what is it? Hudson County Improvement Authority, HCIA. You are the one there? I think they are the one enforced that the solid waste control, all those things like hospitals. So it's a. Don't you feel like it's a duplicated service between you? No, I don't know.
HCIA is a subcontractor. They do something very specific regarding solid waste.
When you say subcontractor, which is a subcontractor? What is a subcontractor? They are subcontractor with your department?
Correct, yes. They use their staff and they subcontract for solid
Explain
waste.
to him that you're not a department, but that you're a separate entity.
Yeah, Hudson Regional Health Commission, we're a government agency. We're funded from all different sources. So we act on behalf of the county for the CHA program. We are funded, as you know, the assessment from the municipalities. We are funded from the DEP. We are funded from the CDC, which is another program I asked Monique to talk about. It's an emergency preparedness program. So we are a government agency. We're not a county agency. So we are funded from all different levels of government. We report to every level of government, basically.
So in other words, you guys are town's agency, funding by
Us, that's what the resolution is.
non-profit organization. But Hudson County is the only one client that you.
We only cover Hudson County. We cover all the municipalities in Hudson County.
But
Only Hudson County, correct.
Just want to make sure that.
Could I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Our concern was the noise. I remember when, Rich is not here. He wanted to know who can enforce noise control. That's what this was all about. I remember.
Yes.
So that's what we want to know. Is it you guys or is the city? And I know you just said there's two separate ordinances. The state has one and the city has one.
Right.
And you're only responsible for the state.
Correct.
If I'm correct.
And
So the city has to enforce their own. Okay, he's not here to hear it.
But hold on, but how do you, but I assume you were saying there's a lot of overlap.
So if
There
there's-
is overlap, and
So
through
if
my
they-
years of experiences, we do handle, every complaint that comes into us is handled. And we do, I mean,
So how do we get a complaint to you?
So you call us.
right.
So
And
health
we get it,
department.
yes.
So the citizens don't go directly to you?
So
Yes, they do.
noise
They
is,
do.
They do
they
contact
do
us directly.
sometimes,
Okay.
because they know how to access them. So there are people that have been doing this for years that directly call the county, because they know that they handle noise pollution, because noise pollution is a health issue. We get several noise pollution sent to the health department, or the police get called. When the police get called, they do have equipment, and they go out and handle the situation in an area where they can. They've dealt with several noise complaints over this past year, and they could probably tell you what they are, but I don't get the complaints if they go directly to the Department of Public Safety.
No, you gotta make it clear there. You say if people call the police say device to check the level of the noise? No, I don't think so.
Yes, they do. They do. that
Jersey
in
Police
the-
Department?
We have, and we do, and we did it all summer long.
Police Department? I never heard it. because you know
So
what?
I'm gonna tell you what I know and what we've been doing since I've been here. So for the last 4.5 years, I've been here, we've signed off on the resolution as part of our assessment as a city agency that is a part of the development of this greater entity, the Hudson County Regional Health Commission.
Councilman Chibuza,
Yes.
let me ask this one. Did you hear that the Jersey Police Department has with a device to check the noise level in any complaint?
In addition, the
What in addition?
director of HEDC.
Let her finish, and then we can.
So yes, so
Please.
I invited them here because it was confusing the noise situation with the greater work that they do, which is noise plus 70 other things on behalf of the city that we pay an assessment into. So we looked through with Commerce the difference between the noise ordinance, which luckily they are reading our ordinances and they understand our ordinances, so they didn't create the city noise ordinance, and perhaps if they were consulted, they would have said, you might want to make it look like the state and we can help you enforce that, but we don't enforce city policy.
The state took it and modeled it after theirs, basically.
So, just to, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Just to be clear, you said there's the difference between the state and the city ordinance is the commercial and industrial's origination of the noise versus residential, and then you said there was a second difference?
Sure.
What's the second difference?
The city ordinance talks about the plainly audible aspects of the code.
Okay.
That is more or less put in the code to assist police officers.
Okay.
People that aren't certified in noise control, they're not a noise control officer, they're noise investigators. This is things like noise, sound systems from a motor vehicle, where a police officer can say, at a distance of 25 feet, this is plainly audible, it is a violation, rather than having to take out noise meters and stuff like that. So that is a difference in the local ordinance. Again, and that's not just police officers, any municipal employee.
So if you guys enforce the noise ordinance, you can issue summons?
State Superior
Okay,
Court.
so the state superior court. Okay,
Correct.
So the state level. And are there hours on your enforcement? Do you guys go 24/7?
Whenever a resident calls, we will arrange whenever that is taking place, whether it's overnight.
You would go out Saturday at
Absolutely.
1 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay.
And we have.
That's good for me to know.
And that's why we pay them $87,000 a year.
Yeah, so yeah, you should apologize.
No, I'll give you my
It's a
information.
great party seat.
Construction sounds, so someone who has complaints of construction sounds, they can call you.
That's one of the main things with construction. Construction noise is not covered by the state code, and it is actually exempt by your local code between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. Only because in certain things, certain ways, there's no way to kind of keep construction noise down. However, and that's a good example because just when I was leaving my office, I received a noise complaint from a gentleman in Jersey City. We never hang up the phone and say, we can't help you. We are actually meeting with this gentleman tomorrow. We meet with the project manager of the construction site, and we kind of conduit of information back and forth, and that kind of gives a peace of mind to the complainant. We provide them with information along the way, and it also puts the construction project on notice that we're there and we're kind of paying attention.
Go ahead.
I thought, I don't know if Candace or one of them, when they were here, wrote an ordinance concerning construction noise, because we was getting a lot of complaints. downtown one time, and I thought they couldn't start to a certain time.
It's a start time.
It's a start time.
We
And
can
when does
enforce
it
that.
end? And when does it, right, and not on the weekends, correct, right.
But that's not, you can't enforce that.
We can't enforce directly, but again, we don't hang up the phone on them, we always take care of it.
So, loud,
This is one piece of the bigger resolution in which.
loud music club going on, they can call you.
Yes.
Okay. Any other examples folks have?
Well, question, just in general, with noise and all the other things that you guys do, so you take requests directly from residents. So how do residents get in contact with you guys? Because most people will call the cops, or if it's something, I don't know, environmental or whatever, we'll probably call Stacy.
the office.
This number on here?
Yes.
We can
Is there an email?
make a flyer for
Uh,
you, but we can
what's the info-
coordinate
there's
for
an
you
info
and have a
request email?
flyer made for the council.
Is it info request? It's info request at hudsonregionalhealth.org, that's the main.
So reason we invite you that. It's, we talk about $88,000, what we pay to the county. We don't want to do that, duplicate services, what the Jersey City and the county or state, you understand? Because we don't waste any taxpayers' dollar, that's our concern. But you say, yes, you guys enforce that, all those different things, but different level of enforcement you guys provide.
So where our jurisdiction ends at the city health department, we call in the county. For example, 24/7 on the lead issue by Enos Jones Park and Mary Benson Park. The city does not have equipment to do external lead testing on the fields. That is the Hudson County Regional Health Department. In like the middle of the night on Saturday, they came, I stood there like testing lead on.
So in other words, you are the health department of Hudson County, simple.
Well, not exactly. We support all of the local health departments.
All.
Yeah, and we do act as an agent of the county for the environmental program, but we really are a standalone agency because we do have so many bosses, and you guys are you're one of them. Yeah.
So now, last question is to my side, 201-223-1133, that's the 24/7 phone numbers.
That is our office number, and if there is a message off hours that will direct you to another number to call.
Okay, so when we call the Sunday, they have some numbers available that call emergency situation, call so-and-so.
If it's emergency,
If it's
an emergency, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So we might want to define what emergency is and create this
Okay.
information for the council so that they can share it with their residents and we'll share it with
Just
ours.
respect, people of Jersey is temporary, so every call is emergency, okay? Just aware for that, okay?
Okay.
It's Dr. Bastola, who is the health officer.
So is it by statute, the health officer?
Our bylaws have the health officer, and then they have an alternate, everyone has an alternate.
And our alternate is happy for the director of inspections.
And then, yes, sorry.
And they work very closely with the Quality of Life Task Force, and they come out at a lot of these activities that we do with construction code, with planning, with the police officers on a lot of these air pollution complaints.
Right. And actually, that was my second question, which was you said like odor and dust complaints. Like, can you be a little more specific? Like, what does that look like?
Sure. New Jersey is actually one of the only states that enforces and actually responds to complaints of odor. A typical odor complaint, not to say it's good or bad, because what's good to you might not be good to me. It really goes on strength of the odor.
Okay.
We'll verify it with the complainant,
Yeah.
and then track the source of where it's coming from. We can do
Okay,
enforcement.
so someone's saying, I mean, literally, they're just like, it smells weird here. They can call you guys and you'll investigate.
Absolutely. And dust is similar. A lot of construction sites will get dust, but it's enforced
Is
the
this
same way.
only like external, or could it be internal to your building? Like, my building is.
In buildings, dust and odor. Again, if the source is outside, we'll investigate
Okay,
it.
but not inside. Like, if it's an internal source, that's more construction.
If it's your neighbor.
Building code.
Right, it's more like a building department.
Right, but it's- okay.
Code enforcement.
Okay.
So in addition to all of that work that they've already mentioned for the $87,000, they also are our partner with the, you talk about emergency preparedness and the trainings for disaster relief.
Yeah, that's our partner. Monique Davis, she's our health educator, risk communicator, and I asked her just to talk a little bit about the emergency preparedness program because it is a huge part of Hudson Regional, and it's definitely something good for you to know that we're doing.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to address. Another part of the program is the Monique Davis. I'm sorry. Another part of the program that is entirely unique from HCIA is the Public Health Emergency Preparedness Program. We have been funded for the last 15 years through the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to be the lead agency in Hudson County for public health emergency preparedness. And in that role, we work with all of the local municipalities, of course, including the city, and we do many, many things under that. For example, one of the things we do is work with the local health departments to plan for what might be considered a pop-up clinic if there was another anthrax attack and we needed to give out preventative medications to keep people from becoming ill or even die. And we have a task by the CDC, a mandate, to do that within 48 hours of the decision that it's been a credible attack. So it's quite a large task, and we partner with our local health departments, and we establish the sites, we train the staff, we exercise the plan, and this has been going on for the past 15 years. So we continue to work with the health department on that. In addition to the bioterrorism, which was our initial focus when we received the grant 15 years ago, it's really grown to not only bioterrorism, but chemical, radiation, nuclear, explosive, and it's called CBRN. And that covers all of that. And now it's really moved on to what we refer to as an all hazards approach, and it includes severe weather emergencies such as Superstorm Sandy. Hudson Regional is also the housing unit for the Medical Reserve Corps, which is a bit of a misnomer, but it's a cadre of volunteers that have been trained to assist in a public health emergency, and they have medical backgrounds and others don't, but they all bring specific skills, and we had many of our volunteers assist at the Armory for the shelters during Superstorm Sandy. We work very closely with the CERT team here. In fact, I've gone out and done what we call our bioterrorism pod operations training on multiple occasions over the last 15 years to train your CERT members who, by the way, have been designated as the point of distribution workers to hand out those medications. So they are a subset of the trained individuals that will stand up and operate your pods, your points of distribution. So CERT and MRC would also be integral partners for the activation of a medical needs shelter, which would assist the people who have been displaced from their home for either a weather event or a radiation event, and they're not quite sick enough to be admitted to a hospital, but they need some sort of medical assistance. And it's probably not appropriate for them to be in a general population shelter, but to go to the medical needs shelter. So we created within the Armory, we had a section that was the medical needs shelter section, and our MRC and your CERT members contributed to those efforts. We also have come out and done in various settings, whether it be corporate or school or the community in general, we've done many public health emergency preparedness presentations, how to ready yourself and your family for an emergency. What is a pod? What should you bring to a shelter? And we've been invited and have participated in various community outreach events like health fairs, the Earth Day event that goes on in April, third Saturday of April usually. So we bring our environmental information, but also our public health emergency preparedness situation. We also go into the schools. We've done in-services for the faculty. Sometimes it will also include an accompanying student presentation. And we've also gone to your medical center here in Jersey City and done grand rounds presentations, particularly during H1N1 or swine flu, Ebola, and Zika. The information that comes out during these emerging infectious diseases is plentiful. And so we go in and we sort of give them the Cliff Notes version of what is going on, a little situation update, what are the clinical things that they need to pay attention to, because the information is just coming in constantly. So we go in to both Christ Hospital and to the Medical Center and do grand rounds presentations for the clinicians.
Wendy, can we add them all to the links?
They're all on local information network communication system health alert network, and that is essentially an email database with targeted distribution groups, and our clinicians are amongst those targeted distribution groups because nobody wants their inbox flooded with stuff that doesn't pertain to them. So we have these distribution groups that we send out the information to. That is probably the basic component of our public health emergency preparedness division, is to be the conduit between the feds and the state personnel and put out this targeted information to the relevant people. What else do we have? We work very, very closely with Sergeant Kearse over in OEM, with our firefighters, with our law enforcement, with our county OEM, and we just do all kinds of work with them. We exercise with them. We plan for things with them. And I've mentioned the MRC unit. And then lastly, another thing that we can offer upon request, we can assist with the risk communication efforts. If there is any kind of a public health disaster where you need to communicate to the public, and it's something that we can perhaps supplement as the subject matter experts in public health. And we used to provide some talking points, and still do provide talking points to your city spokesperson if there's any kind of an outbreak. You've had the measles outbreak at Journal Square. We actually trained some of the shelter and warming center staff because they were concerned that they had potentially been exposed to measles during that outbreak. So we trained them on what to recognize, what were the signs and symptoms, answered some questions, maybe hopefully alleviated some of their fears.
Too much time. How many people work your place? Sounds like you do so much work. Then how many total people work?
How many do you think?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. Because
Yeah, that's the way it feels.
We have 25 on we do the mosquito program also. So during mosquito season, we have some extra. So we have usually between 25 and 30 employees, but we do cross-train everyone. We do try to cross-train within programs. We do have very highly educated and trained personnel to cover all of these program areas.
I mean, no, 25 is a mosquito season, you say. But other than mosquito season, how many people work there?
It's about
25.
20? Yeah, it's about 20. It fluctuates, like I said, between seasons.
When you do that, the waters, airs, noise, all those inspection, and the one inspector do all the different inspection, or whatever, each have a different inspectors they
We
have.
have multiple people doing different inspections, but like I said, they are cross-trained, so if someone gets an air complaint while they're doing a different type of...
See, that's what I'm saying about Kate. She just said right. City of Jersey, we centralize the inspection, try to one centralize that. Because that we have a housing code, sanitation, health, 3 departments or 4 departments can issue 4 different tickets for the one issue. They should be centralized the way they do, The multiple trained by that,
That'd be a great conversation, everybody.
Yes.
So that's where we can save some dollars. So 25 people able to whole county, not the judges, the whole county, they're able to do that.
Right.
So those kind of things we should learn from them. Maybe we have a consultant you can.
And that's why we pay them $87,000 a year, so that they can do all of this work with us.
Exactly.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Joe, you're up. We have Joe Cunha. He's here with 10W and 10Z9.
Promise to be brief. Any questions? No? We're good.
Good evening, Council. My first item tonight is, there we go.
Granting an extension of time for the award of construction contract for Martin Luther King Drive roadway and traffic signal improvements.
Yes, so the DOT requested, actually, in speaking with the DOT, they recommended that we go for the full amount allowed, which is 6 months. We do not anticipate having to use all of that, obviously. We're looking to go to bid early May, most likely on both the federal portion and the state aid. This is just for the state aid portion. Recently, we were contacted by the DOT that from former grants that have been closed over the years with remaining funds, they're allowing us to reapply for those funds totaling $840,000. That was about a month ago. We're completing the work necessary to get that finalized, and I'm happy to say that we'll be adding that to this and taking back into the capital accounts the money that was originally allocated, the additional.
Any questions? Okay, next item, 10Z9.
Z5.
That's Mazer Consulting for the implementation of an operations and maintenance plan for the PJP site for the remainder of this year and the first quarter of 2019.
That's correct. This is a one-year contract. Basically, this has been going on since 2012 that the city has been financing, and prior to that for 2 years, 2010 through 2012, by the owner of the property at that time. As you all know, the city is the proud owner since 2012. And this is unfortunately a requirement for 30 years due to the state laws for closed landfills. It's operations and maintenance, which includes a significant amount of monitoring, sampling, and the like. This particular contract includes a project that will require design and oversight within the Sip Avenue ditch. It's been significantly eroded just at the outfall, just beyond the outfall spillway of the CSO for the MUA. Large amount of flow comes through there, and it's badly scoured. Needs to be remediated.
Bob, this was the question I was asking earlier. So on the bids, it looks like we accepted one that was the second lowest. And I'm just wondering kind of on what basis you guys picked the lowest bidder requirement, that type of thing.
It was based on the way they allocated the costs and the tasks. There's 8 tasks over this one-year contract. Some were more specific than others, as to a specific type of testing that is required by the DEP. It was only found one time in one of the monitoring wells, but ever since then it has been found. It's found its way onto the O&M manual, which is the operation and maintenance manual, basically the owner's manual for a closed landfill. So, that being said, we didn't want to have any extras arise later saying, "Oh, that was excluded from the proposal." So we went with the more complete one and the better overall vendor in this case. Also, the one with the lower is currently handling a very large project for Honeywell within the city, and we felt it was better to spread and go with this vendor at this time for reasons that the other vendor it's the Honeywell site. It's down on the west side there.
Sure. So I guess my question is, all that's reasonable, and I haven't gotten a chance to sit down purchasing notice or all the rules here, but when you make a choice, when you're not picking lowest bidder, is there either an RFP committee or some form of justifications that's written so we kind of know, hey, this is why you're making that decision, which, your reasons sound reasonable, but for us to have, that put before us.
Right, so there's a various array of options outside of construction contracts, especially with professional services contracts. One way is to go the way Andrew came up with the executive order consultant contract, which is to go mass widespread public outreach based on competitive contracting, which is a specifically weighted system, points, the whole enchilada. And of course, a committee is also formed in that case. In this case, we are coming up on a deadline. March 31st is the deadline. We were waiting until the end of the contract to determine if the current contract awardee was going to be capable to continue for another year. We elected to go with 1 year in this case, rather than the 3 that we went with last time, so that we could do a trial period and make sure. We've had bad luck with 2 previous contracts, significant bad luck. Gave us a black eye in the EPA and DEP's mind. So we can't afford that at the...
hearing you correctly,
Mm-hmm.
asking for a written memo justification as to why you decided to go with not having the low bidder.
Yeah, because I don't know how it works for the overall process, but just whatever.
Absolutely.
It's not a little bit, or it's just, I get it, but just what's the.
So I was getting longer, but I'll go right to the short. The other option is to pick from a short list, assemble a short list. The city previously assembled a short list 2 years ago. We are allowed to do that. We did one for environmental engineering services, another for general engineering services. We selected from that predetermined, pre-qualified list a short list of, I believe, 5 or 6, I think it was 6, firms that we felt would be qualified to do this.
They'll do an RFQ request for qualifications. They do it for law, outside counsel, engineering, architects, and based on that, the departments will identify those who met the qualification standards and have this pre-certified list available. So when a service is needed, engineering can pick from that list, solicit quotes from them for the project that they're working on at that point. This is probably what you did in this case.
That is what we did in this case. I do want to be very clear.
You did it every 2 years.
Right. I also want to be clear that the law does not preclude the city from picking outside of that list. So the law is very different with professional services versus construction contracts.
Do you want to leave it out?
I mean, I would love it.
Sure.
If you could do that.
We could do that.
Send us an email. I think this is a good practice for all these professional services contracts that come before us.
Absolutely.
25 years ago, I was part of the PJP landfill task force, and the place was burning. It burned for like 30 years, 40 years. And we were told back then, like, there can't be that much contamination because the fires would have destroyed any contamination down there. And we're going on now 25 years, and they're still playing around down there.
Well, it is so it's a 30-year plan from when it was capped. It was capped circa 2010 for this type of O&M. So what we're trying to do internally is determine what kind of ratables we can maybe, well, it's meant to be a park, so we need to have an internal discussion on that. If we plan on trying to offset some of these costs, that's going to involve some significant analysis and discussion.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you.
So, the next question is, Joe, and within maybe you come to the PS20 school last is a community meeting, and he mentioned to that the racing track, that the person field, he's not interested to, paving, that so on. So where are we going now? I think Councilman Richie Bojan was not there on that night, but seems like
I wasn't there either.
he wasn't there. But seems like that paving the racetrack, repairing the racetrack, seems like gone.
I wouldn't say it's gone.
To be very clear, what he said was, unless it's going to be regulation to fit within the regulations for competition, which would require, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to speak for Brian, but I'm pretty sure it would require a complete re-layout of the baseball fields and probably the elimination of the fields.
Riot up there, and you have 20,000, 30,000 people up there, and he doesn't want it because it's regulation. I told you, in the 1940s, it was used by the Olympics for training. So if the Olympics can use it, the senior citizens up there can use it.
So why we build up the local park to the renovation only? It's not only for the high school or middle school, college, but the resident people of Georgia City. You know what I'm saying? So that race shouldn't be. I mean, that they have to be regulated. Racetrack. There are more people use that place than anybody else. I think we should be accommodated. You should tell the mayor, such a great idea. We wish to do that, but other than that, we $800,000 not enough to renovate the whole place. You got to tell the mayor the truth.
I thought we had a plan in place.
No, but it seems like they're gone. So mayor wanted to.
We have funding in place to blacktop it. Yeah. The rubberizing is another issue.
I thought you were okay without the rubberizing.
Yes, but no, the thing is this: mayor wanted certain size of a track, so regulated. But current to the racetrack, it's not. So in other words, we plan to talk about the repairing, improve that the racetrack based on not regulated racetracks. So just for the
I'll
residents.
have that conversation tomorrow when I meet with them on the capital requests.
People wait for a long time already.
Yeah,
About
enough's
time.
enough.
Enough
It's
is
been
enough.
4.5 years. Yeah, I thought we agreed.
Okay.
He said something different at the town hall meeting, yes, he did.
I'll talk to him.
Yeah, speak to him about it, Joe, no, he's wanted something different based on schools able to use it, and there's a code or a guideline based on the schools for them to use it, so that's why he said he was, he didn't say he wouldn't do it, he just said he was investigating it more so, because it makes sense to him if the school system can use it also.
Yeah, I mean, the way I first see it is if we were going to do it and we had room for another baseball fields elsewhere, and a lot of money, we could build 2 brand-new facilities for baseball and a brand-new track with an infield and,
Joe, so tell the mayor, if we build the racetrack regulated, I mean, that the Olympic size of a racetrack, in order to do that, we have to limit the one, the baseball field, which is most kids are using, you know what I'm saying? So we have to be, keep the balance, you understand? But they don't.
Is he aware that
No,
you're
he's
using
aware.
the baseball field?
Yes.
Okay.
Please, okay? We'd like to see as soon as possible.
Joe?
I do whatever I'm told to do. I come to work, it doesn't matter what the work is, as long as it's in my purview, I do it,
Drive you crazy, but.
No, it's never bothered.
I call him every day and drive him nuts.
It's never bothered.
So,
I think everyone has my number, right? So.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, good night.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we've got 2 more, Stacy, and then followed by Matt, and then
What does Matt have? Because I have,
Matt has a discussion on marijuana. Would you like to go after him? That's fine. You can.
either or, I'm going to stay for the marijuana discussion because it is a health issue. Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think it will, but so as you may note, there are several items that we walked on over the last 10 days. I have been moving approximately 100 staff from 199 Summit to 360 MLK, and thanks to Steve Miller, it's gotten slightly more successful than it could have been, but there's just a lot of hiccups, and a lot of our staff have not been on computers, and things have been down, so there are a few things that Bhavani helped us bring to you. So I'm going to maybe start backwards, Robert? What do you want to?
We have 10Z8, the New Jersey Health Care Quality Institute.
For the last 2 years, we have received funding from the United Health Foundation as part of a partnership with New Jersey Healthcare Quality Institute. This is the 3rd year of the 3-year grant. This money this year will be used to support the Stop the Bleed effort that we're working on with Jersey City Medical. We share this funding with Jersey City Medical, and later this week, if it's not been on your calendar already, March 31st is Stop the Bleed Day nationwide, and we are hosting a kickoff here on Thursday at 2 p.m. To talk about our monthly workshops to train and provide tourniquets to residents to support this effort. So, so that's what we're going to use the funding for this year.
Questions? Okay, next item.
Z9, an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding with Hudson County, United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for lead hazard reduction.
Several months ago, the County Division of Housing received a grant from HUD to do lead abatement programming to residents across the county. In fact, we work on this project with Hudson County Regional as well. Our staff do the lead tracking for all Jersey City homes with lead, and then we then introduce those residents to PACO, who is the interface for the county to assist with a list of projects that they're willing to support for homeowners. This is a $2.5 million grant. We do not accept any funding for this grant because we are funded through the state to do the lead inspections. So this is just for us to do additional inspections. We've refocused some of our staff and trained up one of our investigators to the lead inspection, and we're waiting for the next state test for him to take. So this is so that we can help residents that might need new window sills, and because they haven't been able to afford to do that in the past. This project helps with that. This project helps actually, whether it's a homeowner or a landlord, and so it's extremely relevant, and we're going to roll it out in April, and hopefully, share with you the important marketing and campaign information so that you can share that with your residents. So any resident in the county that is of X income and has certain lead issues, we will be able to abate.
Questions? None? Next item?
D10, Dr. Orlando Gonzalez of Life Mod LLC.
So this we presented to the agenda. I didn't have enough information at the time. Dr. Gonzalez has been working with the health department for the last 2 years, but he had never been over the threshold for it to come to you as a professional service agreement. So this year we actually reached out to several doctors. I'm not sure if you know how we operate the clinic interface, but we have immunizations and STD testing and treatment that occur at the city clinic. We have one doctor currently, Dr. Owusu, who you've approved his contract several months ago. Dr. Owusu does not feel comfortable working with adults, and we found that out, recently. When he never had to work with adults before, he does all the child interface. He does the pediatric side. And so when our doctor retired last year, we didn't want to bring a new doctor into the trailer, so we sort of worked with several consultants, Dr. Desai, Dr. Gonzalez, and we got per diems from the Jersey City Medical Center. So now we asked, and Dr. Desai actually was a volunteer for most of that. So, so now that we're in new space, we are ready to hire a nurse practitioner, which is out of our league. Quite honestly. So we lost a nurse and a doctor last year. We've been putting stuff together with per diem employees through RFQs. So we put out a soft bid on this particular issue because it was low-hanging fruit for someone to be held standing orders at our clinic. So when the doctor's not there, the nurses can still operate. And this is until we can figure out the budget situation with bringing on a nurse practitioner, which is double what it cost us to have a nurse. And so, which was more than what we were paying the doctor and the nurse put together. And so we're just trying to look at that.
Sorry, so this Dr. Gonzalez
Mm-hmm. No, he's doing the STD side of the work. Well, it's both sides of the work that we do. Dr. Owusu only now works, or as of last Monday, he reduced his time in our office to only 6 hours a week. So I really can't serve anyone at 6 hours a week. And so until we have sort of a better plan, and we'll have a better plan now that we're in one space and we're operating one city clinic. But the first portion of that is because of the vaccines. Both. So we're now in one city clinic. I mean, in the past, I've traditionally not put the STDs in the contracts. Yep.
No questions? Okay. I might just, if I can just go back to Z9, if someone could fix the heading on that,
Mm-hmm.
just so it conforms with the language. Okay, 10K?
Did you print Z9?
Yeah, I printed everything so I can go and edit it.
10K is a resolution authorizing HHS to accept award funds from the American Public Health Association. $10,000 from the Mind Body Spirit program. Yeah?
Oh, is that this one?
Yep.
Yes, that is that one.
Okay. Any questions on that? No. None.
Next.
The ordinance.
What?
It's 3A.
Put it on your list.
What? Sorry.
Oh, okay, yes, that's the ordinance.
The ordinance. Hi.
Chapter 3, Administration of Government, Mayor, and Article 12, Department of Health and Human Services of the Municipal Code.
So as you might have a copy of the memo sent to you last week, this has been a long time coming. There are several council people that have been engaged in the process. Currently, the Office of Veterans Affairs and the Office of Welcoming Communities work under the Office of Resident Response Center, which is in the Office of the Mayor, which is in the Department of the Business Administrator, and it needs to just have a better structure to streamline our efforts to interface human services needs for the veterans and the immigrant community, and therefore we thought it would be better served in health and human services. In addition to that, we've been doing a significant amount of work around the gun violence and pedestrian safety, along with the chaplain program, and trying to put it under one place so that the person that was managing the chaplain program could actually have a little bit more breadth of work, which would be the Division of Injury Prevention.
Questions for Stacy? This is,
At the next meeting, we'll, if this, is introduced and passed for second reading on April 11th, we'll request a resolution to waive the 20-day waiting period.
Is there a budgetary impact from these changes?
Not at this time, and not probably this year at all, but if we see what the impact of having sort of greater breadth and more marketing and more interface, that we might request additional staff at a later date. So we're bringing over the staff that currently exist. We do have money already in our budget, and there's several staff that are retiring now, so we're sort of recouping those funds that we have to put them in a better place, and will be.
Is this specifically the Division of Immigrant Affairs? To what extent is the mission going to change from what it's currently doing?
So currently, the Office of Welcoming Communities does flag raisings and events. Those events are shifting over to Cultural Affairs because they are events. And that was something Cultural Affairs had historically always done, was the flag raisings, and that's what they're skilled to do. And this group would be mostly focused on the support, the ESO, the English as a second language, the citizenship, and then the direct service with some metrics on, what I'm to understand. Yeah, but they've also been bifurcated into, so they haven't been able to put as much attention to the actual case management model, and so you haven't been able to see great results. Yeah.
my one thing just on the immigrant affairs is, so actually to your point about the budget, so there's no changes in terms of hiring and staffing and so forth, but accounting-wise, it's going to be changed.
Yeah.
Like a division has its own
Yes.
accounting line, right?
Correct.
Or account-
And that's actually what is the significance of creating a division, because being an office of an office of an office, like the person in charge of that office doesn't have the ability to like create the budget. From my perspective of like looking at the human services efforts that we already have in place and the number of undocumented and the number of veterans we're already serving through senior affairs, there's a lot more continuity and there's a lot more ways that I can use other funds to insert into those divisions. So what?
See directly how much we're spending on each of these.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It all falling under resident response center, and you can
Yeah,
tell.
and so everyone's like pulling to something, but you never really get what it costs. So often I tell my staff, this is like, charge me for the travel stuff, because a lot of them don't, right? Because then I can get a true picture of what it costs to do this business. Because if you don't get a raise and you're spending $130 a month on your travel, at least I can get you that. Right? And so to get a real sense of what it costs per person we serve and what we found in the clinics, you know, why we made one city clinic is because to give a resident here under the age of 18 an immunization shot, vaccine, which are given to us for free, costs us $137. And that's kind of absurd. And so I had two nurses in two different clinics across the way from each other, and I was like, this, you know, it costs us $147 to do a test and treatment for an STD when the treatment is free. And so I'm trying to get you more for your budget, right? And more interface for the residents who deserve these services, but the staff don't have an opportunity to go out in the field when there's only one staff. So I can find a second staff that might already be within the city, that might shift into a role that's better suited for them, that we can help them excel and really leverage some of that opportunity and streamline the work.
So the personnel and operating costs for these divisions, which are currently under the RRC, the budget that was submitted by the mayor, it still resides under there.
Correct.
And so when we get to the budget hearings, and we get to the HHS, will it then be transferred at that point, or?
During the budget amendment process.
In the budget amendment
Identify the
process?
funding and the personnel, and that will be.
I don't know if we'll have an established 20-day waiver, yes.
Yeah, and then
okay,
the
so we should be fine,
staff
yeah.
that were currently paid are still going to get paid. They're still on the city budget, and they'll move over. Then as we take a look at like the kind of needs, so we obviously want to hire division directors. This staff may or may not be director level staff. There may be other staff who are veterans in the city that are already working for the city that might, you know, excel in this role. We have a lot of veteran staff that come out and support the parade activities and have been very interested and active as a volunteer force. We have some of those.
So when we get to the budget, we're going to need amended RRC budget for the budget hearing, and amended HHS, yeah, in advance of the budget hearings. Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Basically, I told them I'm copying everyone in case, you know, that they don't understand what Bob said.
So John's got it.
John, when we can see that the amend the budget for.
John knows, and
The notes will be taken during the budget hearings with the council, and that's when the budget office staff will take all the notes, identify the people, and they'll make the amendment based on those meetings.
I'm asking that we get an amended
Right,
budget
right.
Yeah.
prior to, prior to the hearing.
And that's why I brought him the I Love Budget Meetings pin today, to support that last few days of budgeting that is needed to get through this.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now, we have Matt Ward here for 3C.
I just wanted to, I had plenty of time to think about Bob Kay's leaving, and so I emailed Bob Cotter, or texted him, and he gave me a little short thing to say. So let me just say that real quick. So I'm speaking for Bob Cotter right now, former city planning director.
And my first boss.
He's a consummate professional. I hired him as a post-high school intern. He wasn't a planner. he was a numbers guy and soon moved to budgeting. He became an important member of the fiscal management of the city, especially in public safety. My wife, Lori, as budget director and later business administrator, always said, his word is as good as gold. And by the way, Lori says, Bob always hired the best. Congrats. Jersey City will miss you, but thanks for all the years of helping to make Jersey City the best in New Jersey.
Thank you, Mr. Cotter. Are you sure?
Excuse me? Are you sure? Is that what you said? All right. All right, so...
So we're here on 3C, Matt's here on
Yes.
3C. That's an ordinance of the Municipal Council adopting amendments to the Land Development Ordinance in advance of potential legalization of recreational marijuana.
Okay, so I provided to council a memo dated 3/19/2018, and then there's also an attachment with the short amendment language. I guess I'll start with the memo. So as you may or may not know, so Governor Murphy has made a priority of his to pass recreational marijuana legislation. And it seems to be a moving target for him. I think even just after I dated this memo, there's another proposed bill out of a representative or a congressperson from Burlington County. So I don't know the latest, but I've tried to provide just you reference to the two bills that did exist when I drafted this memo, and and also on the second page was some preliminary long-term recommendations that the City Planning Division has come up with. So the administration asked the City Planning Office to take a look at recreational marijuana and advised that he would prefer the city to get ahead of it. So the ordinance tonight is in the spirit of getting ahead of it, and then also the long-term recommendations is what we provided to the mayor, we provided to planning board, and I'm providing here to you to think about if this ever comes to pass. So let's see, I'll just kind of summarize this.
What do you mean by recreational marijuana?
Marijuana used for recreational purposes, similar to drinking alcohol.
One guy, where's the other guy? Oh, maybe Bob over here, myself. Remember the 60s, everybody walking around stoned.
Bob is too young for them.
In the 60s, I was 10 years old when the Mets.
That's what he's too old for that.
But I did go to St. Peter's College, so.
So staff looked at some different ordinances that are now getting enacted throughout the state and some of the states that have passed recreational marijuana. We're making the following recommendations. If this ever comes to pass, these are preliminary long-term recommendations, that most of the regulations would be included in licensing, such as like separation between these businesses if they ever come to be, what kind of backup they would need to show to get a license, and so forth. But as far as any amendments to Chapter 345, which is the land use, it would, at this time, staff would recommend it being similar to like a restaurant overlay, where public meetings can be held to better define where the overlay areas would be throughout the city, and then all the other, or a majority of the other regulations would be under the licensing. I would assume that there would also be other chapters to amend in the city's ordinance. Now to go to the amendment language that's part of this ordinance. There would be two amendments to Chapter 345, one to Section 4, which is the prohibited uses paragraph, And it would be adding one sentence to the end of that paragraph, which says, the cultivation, manufacture, warehousing, distribution, and sale of cannabis for recreational use are prohibited. And then in Chapter 345, Section 6, the definitions, we amend in a definition for cannabis. And so that it is very clear what we're talking about for the first sentence. And that is the summation of the ordinance. It is.
It has a slight different definition. What can we do?
Well, let me look at the two definitions that are. Well, they have. Yeah, they
there
have.
hasn't been no
right.
conversation too much about this, 'cause I've been going down the state to
Right.
find out about it. It hasn't even been brought before the Senate, so I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah, so let me see if I can find it really fast. Right. Yeah, there's definitions in the bills, but they might, I think one of the reasons why the mayor wanted an ordinance he didn't really have an idea of how this would be done, but to get ahead of it and make clear that it would be prohibited, recreational use. And this is what the planning office recommended. Again, and you might not have caught it in the ordinance language, but this was, as required by the MLUL, went to planning board for recommendation. They voted to not recommend it. It was a 4-4 vote, and a simple majority is what is needed for the recommendation. But yeah, there are definitions that are in the proposed bills, and they are quite similar. I mean, if you want, I can distribute that, or you can reference those in the memo. There's links that I provided. But there's a definition sections in both of the bills.
So this is a citywide, right? Whole
Yeah,
Jersey.
yeah.
So it doesn't matter which area you go, that doesn't matter if it's a redeveloped area or not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
Just logistically, how does that work? How do we recommend zoning and redevelopment areas at the same time?
Right.
Well, there's several chapters that in the LDO that transfer over to redevelopment plans, and we've written them in like I think 34516, which is the thresholds for site plan review. It has language in there that specifically calls out what thresholds are for redevelopment plan applications. So it's not unforeseen in our ordinance to include things that span both redevelopment plans and local zoning.
Yeah, and I just.
Or regular districts.
Right, those are the logistics, if we pass this, it will apply to every redevelopment plan across the city.
Yes, that is what I believe, yes.
So, just clear it. All entire city of Jersey City. Doesn't matter which zone you are, which development, doesn't matter, right?
That would be the effect of this ordinance.
Bowers and Central.
Oh, no.
There's an empty store there.
Yep. Okay.
So it came to us even though it was not recommended.
That's right. Why is that?
Why did it come to you?
Yeah, even though it was recommended by the planner.
So this went before the planning board in February, and there was discussion about if there was maybe a different way to think about the language or the amendment, and instead of it being revised, it was sent to council for consideration as is. It is not required, it's a recommendation. We satisfied the requirement, which was to send it to planning board for their recommendation. They voted not to recommend it. There's nothing banning that from happening.
The planning department's decision.
Well,
Without the planning board's recommendation.
it's
I'm just asking obvious.
right. We were requested to send it up. we were requested to send it up as recommended, or as not recommended.
How many members are there?
There was 8 at the meeting that night. And it was,
Only 9? Is that,
yes, there's typically 9 at a meeting.
who was absent? Eric Fleming?
I can read you the list. I have the transcript, one moment. At the meeting was Chairman Langston, Commissioner Gonzalez, Councilperson Waterman, Commissioner Bettinger, Commissioner Eddie Torres, John Severowski, Rakesh Thakur, and Allison Slowski, the city employee member.
Yes, Gonzalez, Bettinger, Soborowski, who was the fourth?
Solowski. Oh, did you say Solowski? I'm sorry.
Soborowski. Oh, Solowski was?
Yes, and Solowski was yes. And no was Langston. I'm sorry, Gonzalez, Bettinger, Severowski, and Solowski. And the no's, this is on a motion to not recommend, or to recommend. The no's were Thakur, Torres, Waterman, and Langston.
Because a lot of questions was, what will the state do? And some felt like they were putting the cart before the horse. That was the issue. That's what.
Yeah.
Because whatever the state does, is a possibility we might have to amend. Correct?
Right, so in both of the
That's
bills,
what-
yeah, in both of the bills that I've read, I haven't read the latest. Yeah.
So whatever the state decides is going to overrule whatever we have here anyway, right?
So,
For the
right,
most part.
In both of the bills that I've read, yes.
Those proposed bills could change in language.
Yes.
Correct.
But we would still essentially have to comply with that, and then I guess whatever is within our control, we can decide after that point.
Right, so whatever the state says, according to these, the states are giving local municipalities time, but they could decide to change that.
Yeah, and they're also giving, the towns the option to opt out.
But we can amend based on the state statute, how they change it. Yeah?
We don't know
We
until
don't
the
know.
state formulates the law.
Pass it to the state, then we can change it based on what state statute. But we just put in the PRO Act, just in case, we just protect it. All right?
You vote and let everybody else vote. That was their problem. They wasn't comfortable. That's why some voted yes and some voted no. Each person has to feel comfortable with the way they vote. That's all. And they knew that the state really had the authority.
What's your thoughts, Councilman?
No, I cannot say it. It's secret.
Councilor Robinson, you had a comment or?
He's lighting up the joint.
Yeah. Just a quick comment. Which, my concern is if we pass this and say no, then if we can't get our act together collectively as a city, I don't know why, but if we didn't, then then we'll have banned it and not, and have said we don't want it in our city.
You have a year to do it. Right, you have a year to do it. If the city can't come up with a plan within a year, then that's sad.
Yeah, and all I'm saying is, but if we don't vote on this, then we kind of have the.
And then you vote for something that's illegal anyway. Right now, it's illegal.
Yeah, I mean,
That was the question too.
yeah, I understand.
I'm just trying to show you the argument.
Right, of course, I understand, and I understand.
That was some of
We
the
have
stuff they said is illegal.
the
So
health
why
and
vote for
human
something that's
subject is
illegal?
here.
They didn't feel comfortable.
I think your opinion is very important for that.
Whatever you vote, you just vote.
Stacy?
We have to
From a
redo it.
licensing perspective, we're ready to do whatever the council believes in. How I was to interpret what the mayor said at the Ward F meeting was to ban it across the city, would allow each neighborhood to participate in an overlay plan the way they would like it to look, which prepares us so that the state does not say where it must go.
Thank you very much. A lot of things I disagree with the mayor, but that part I agree with him.
They come in and tell us where it can go after we ban it?
That's how medical dispensaries operate.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it, they needed a lawyer, that's, go ahead. Because we had a lawyer there, that's what we should.
Conceptually, the state could say there can't be a prohibition on where the dispensaries will go or some, but, you know, local jurisdictions do have a lot of control over their own, within their own jurisdiction as to where their licensing is appropriate and all of that. So presumably, municipalities will retain that control. Again, I'm talking conceptually, so I don't know exactly what kind of language the state will come up with, but they could presumably make the restrictions a little tighter and maybe, maybe they don't want to make it as difficult for licenses or dispensaries to open up, you know, wherever they want to open up. They want more free market approach to it. We don't know what the state's, what they're going to do. Yeah.
So we prohibit those things in Jersey first, and based on state statute, we have to amend because the state statute require, or based on that community involvement, then we can talk about that, you know. But
We don't know.
I think,
We don't know, so don't say that.
Yeah,
like
we don't know, but
We don't know. Make
that's
sure
why we-
get clear.
that's why we
And I
said
want that
prohibit
because people
citywide
watching.
first.
We don't know, this is just something we just don't know.
But marijuana is good or bad? Health-wise?
I mean, it depends on your health issue, and really, it depends on how your body interprets, you know, different formulaic drugs. So, I mean, we obviously need to support those who are in pain that need that support.
Recreational use for marijuana, that's what I'm asking you.
So,
Recreational.
it's not my thing, but I think there might be a lot less, like, bar fights on Newark Avenue.
Councilperson Ridley?
Request that the entire document is said.
Say again.
Can we have the entire document said?
Yeah,
Like we have the amendment, certain sections, but.
Yeah, we could get the entire section 345, chapter 345.
I can email it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I think just to answer your question, in both bills, there's whereas statements at the beginning that state why these congressmen felt strongly about this. So if you wish to read why they think it's important, I would suggest you look there.
I think you better check with Denver, Colorado, that's having a lot of problems since they legalized marijuana.
I don't know.
I mean, something else besides the song that.
Okay.
Always been bad.
Any other comments or thoughts, questions?
Oh, we sent to pass a resolution, sent a letter to the state of New Jersey, asking every elected officer in the state of New Jersey, ask them, I don't mind your children or grandchildren or granddaughter or daughter don't mind to smoke recreational marijuana in your house. If there's all favor, we'd like to see who's in favor, who's not. No, really, it's a shameful. I hate to say it, no. We gotta ask them, that the state senate and the assembly peoples, you don't mind your kids or their children, grandchildren smoke the recreational marijuana in your home.
How old are those children and grandchildren?
This is gonna be like regulated 21 and over, right? Or 18. What is this?
So medical, we don't have to problem.
Those bills say 21.
That's good, they don't mind.
Those kids drinking at 14 and 15 years old.
And somebody else don't mind.
I know.
Okay.
Some of the subject matter.
There's no further questions, we'll go from the top of the agenda, there's no one else, right?
We're only doing B on first reading ordinances, creating
G.
two.
Sorry, why don't we skip to G? Which item do you have?
You're in, Q?
10Q.
The resolution.
Thank you, you're welcome. You're welcome.
This was a resolution authorizing, folks, resolution authorizing an Affordable Housing Trust Fund contract with 78 MLK LLC. Mr. O'Connell?
Thank you, Gene O'Connell from Cara Development. This is a small project at 78 MLK, but a very vital one because we are providing 3 large family units, 1 4-bedroom and 2 3-bedroom units for purchase to families that will be affordable for 20 years. And I know it was taken off the last agenda, but we got a chance to meet with councilperson Rigby and Jefferson. And I think we had a good meeting, and it's a good project.
So can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Few questions I have to issue is that when I see their website that, what's the name of the place that the developer is, yes, whatever, yeah, they call that, Cara Security, right? If you see that their website, they're gonna sell the units one is with this 1825 square feet, $250,000. Unit two, 1,305 square feet, 230. Unit three is, sale price of 25, around 11,000 square feet. That's what they're gonna sell. But when I see that the cost analysis paper for the, whole project, each unit costs almost $371,000. So they market price almost $120,000, $150,000 cheaper than actual cost. Is that right?
Yeah, the cost of the project is much more than the sale price, of course, yes, because we had a subsidy from the city for construction, yes, correct.
So now, then my next question is that, if we see the price of market price, our resolutions are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 columns of whereas they say, they say homeowners condominium for household at approximately 65-80% AMI.
Correct.
But if we see that the 65% AMI, 65 AMI cannot afford those kind of price of house. When I see that the AMI, okay, here you go. If we see that your website, the price called minimum and the maximum price, you know what I'm saying? If we see that 4-bedroom, 4-person, price, see almost $68,000. If somebody make a 60% AMI income, they cannot afford any units of this one. So how we can come up idea? You say 65 AMI able to afford this kind of units? No way, Jose.
Well, actually, it happens quite often. I've been building affordable housing since 1990, and many of my homes and units were for purchase and maybe half were for rental. But yes, if an individual is making less than 80%, as long as they're making less than 80%, they can purchase one of these units. But if they need help, if they need like a gift letter from a family member to make up that difference, even though they can make 65% of AMI and still afford this unit, and we work with each purchaser to make sure that they can afford it. For example, I've sold a 2-family house to a single woman with 2 children, making $17,000 a year. So. Yes, there are many fundings for a purchaser of affordable housing. There are many different funding sources, so you can use all those funding sources. So a person making less than 80% and also making less than 65% of median income can still afford these units.
But it's a different. It's a down payment and the monthly payment is a total difference. See, let me see that the one unit called sale price of $250,000. Minimum income family of 4, $62,500, and the maximum income family of 4, $68,000.
Correct.
Yeah, but so when you see that, if we call that the 65 AMI, nobody make that kind of dollar because the 65 AMI is a 4-family. Their income is supposed to be around $50,000, but already you put right there 62, 65. They are not matching with their income level. Down payment, as you claim that, give the down payment possible.
Yes.
But payment to mortgage can be different. So if anybody make a 65 AMI, they're not able to afford this one, the monthly the mortgage payment.
No, that's not true. Because,
that's not true.
There are so many programs that we use with different banks, M&T Bank and other banks. We bring down the monthly payment with the programs from these banks and lenders that lend for affordable housing. So yes, we have many different types of programs that we use, and I've shown this over the years. I probably have 600 units up in Jersey City, 500 units up in Newark, and in various municipalities in New Jersey. So yes, we work with the applicants to make sure that they can come up with the money to afford the monthly payments to buy these homes. And we have many purchasers and renters who have made less than 50% of median income and still been able to afford to buy one of our homes.
So then, that's the case. Usually on the website, they usually say the minimum income family of four, usually not put just $62,500. They usually say they're $50,000. So anybody look at this website, 65% AMI, if it's a family of four, already they're discouraged by the minimum price. Minimum income, $62,000. Because already $62,000 below, not above that, income of four, and who is a 65 AMI. That's what I'm saying. This, in other words, what you say, the paper, what's in the website, your unit for sale, is a discourage the people already. So nobody has the 65 AMI not going to apply for that, because you guys say that at the website, minimum income family of 50 as a 62,000. So what I'm saying is that what you say here, what you put in your website, it doesn't match.
I understand what you're saying. The purchase price that's listed on our website is the purchase price that was provided for by the Department of Housing, which is 80% of median income, less than 80% of median income. What we have to make sure is that we don't allow people to come in and take all the time to apply for a home and then find out that they can't have it. So we try to make a window of opportunity for people making less than 80% of median income. But if somebody comes in and we find a program that we can help them and they make less than 65%, we will work with them. And
then, with all due respect, then is a proper business person that minimum income family of 50,000, and then you put just some stomach that based on program ability, you know what I'm saying? Then people is more.
We can amend we can do that.
I don't want that.
I understand.
You present the city council 65 to 80 AMI, but when the people was there as a council person, yes, they have a 65 AMI. Why don't you apply for that? And then when you go to website, they say 62,000. Then they're going to tell the councilman, 65 AMI is not 62,000. It's also $50,000.
We can amend our website and put that information.
Yes, so that's why this city council, at least the public in Jersey, knows that this city council people read their resolution, you know what I'm saying? And not only they will do research for go website, make sure they follow what they said the city council, and they follow that in their web page, So you gotta make it clear. So please, a minimum income family of 4 is $62,500, $50,000 with a star mark. That's based on ability of the programs. So we know that, okay?
We can do that.
All right.
You're rich.
Long-term tax exemption.
No, we're using a 5-year.
5
years? Okay.
But 5 years? See, this is what I want to ask this one.
We didn't get the county and the state.
This is the problem we face today. The Summit Avenue, that, walk and live units, Summit and Sixth Road.
I know.
Bob K. knows very well. Problem was that when they first sell, like 2-bedroom, they sell the $250,000.
I know.
With a 5 years of tax abatement, I like everybody aware that 5 years later, tax abatement is over. Now usually they pay $2,000 tax. Now tax went up $7,000, $8,000. So now what happened? People leave up their 5 years affordable price, and the 5 years later they cannot able to afford it because the tax is so high. So they sell the units, get out, they ask the Bob K, discharge a mortgage, so on. So you remember that, right?
I remember that.
So now, this project, these units, I hope not, people as a homeowners, condos, 5 years later, because their tax went up, double it, in most cases that actually, this is causing a serious problem. So we actually, City of just gives you all the subsidized program and the dollar. In 5 years, only comes to 5 years later, people leave there cannot afford it.
Well, I talked to Ed Tolosa in the assessor's office. He will assess these units at the affordable there's restricted affordable resale price, and on these units, it lasts for 20 years. So it will be assessed at the restricted resale price.
Resale price at the street somewhere, other than there. People there, maximum only live for 5 years.
Right.
Because,
But this is 20.
yes. All right, so we just want to make sure, protect the people, okay?
20 years.
All right.
All right, let me just say congratulations and thanks for all your service, Bob. Really appreciate it.
Protect the small people, right?
We will.
Good, that's it.
And I just want to say thank you to Eugene for meeting with us in the community and taking the time to explain everything about this project.
So, and construction cost for each unit, $360,000, but they sell $250,000.
Let's take it from the top, from the top.
I don't know if there's a top anymore.
3B.
B is adding 2 classified positions, clerk 1, telephone operator, and program coordinator, lead poisoning control program, to the list of.
This person's not actually a telephone operator.
That's what I wanted to ask. I'm serious. When I read that, I said, this still exists?
Probably the clerical side.
Okay.
We're confirming this, we just want to be sure. Okay. We go right to
Bobby, you confirm that
resolutions.
for us? Mark? Okay, thank you.
All the ordinance first readings were introduced unanimously, so we'll go right to resolutions, so maybe we'll get out of here in a half hour. We have an emergency temporary appropriation.
Wait, can we stop for 1 second?
Mm-hmm.
Go back to the second readings.
Okay.
Where is the one about the heat?
Heat?
What? What?
Heat.
4C,
The heat is gone. Is that 4C?
4C, maintenance.
The heat is gone. I just have a question about the wording, because we're saying that this applies to all,
Yeah, 4C.
to all units vacant or occupied, right? Occupied or unoccupied?
Yeah, that actually.
And the purpose is to, I guess, protect other tenants in the building. So is there a way we can add to that? Because what if the whole building is empty? Because right now you're just saying, it doesn't matter if there's anybody in the units or not, the heat has to be on.
Yes.
So like if there's nobody in the building, it's not affecting anybody but the owner, which that's their loss.
So this has an issue that Dennis, you say right. This is only for
Gentleman
the,
suggests we table this, because actually Deputy Mayor has to be here twice, I think, to respond, so.
for tabling?
Yeah.
The same questions came up the last time, too.
He never, table it, right?
Marcos. I'm sorry, Director of AGDC.
But he is still in, he is probably.
So, it's gonna be tabling, right?
We'll table it, yeah, just table it.
Let's go.
Actually, I
Denise,
just
thank you
wanna-
for asking this question.
Can I just raise 4A, just make sure, see where folks are at, just, so we had a conversation about this. Any thoughts, new thoughts, different thoughts?
I mean, I think it's, Bob Kay says it's, it's a, routine measure. I would just simply say if we actually ever got to the point of increasing our budget to this rate, I certainly would not support it. But, if we want to put it in as a routine measure, because we've done it for 18 straight years, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
So.
Okay, anything else on second readings, anyone?
Except of course, you like Dennis, right? She's right.
B and C are the adoption.
Wait, hold on, before we go to A, is this, kind of 10A? Is this statutory increase in the temporary budget?
So we are a quarter into the year, we don't have an adopted budget, so remember on January 1st,
Yeah.
we adopted like 26% of last year's budget.
Right.
Now it's just to increase it another few months for salary and wage purposes and continue operating until you adopt the budget.
Is there a reason?
Fixed percentage?
Yeah,
No.
That's what I was gonna say. It isn't, so why are the percentages kind of different across the different lines?
No, I mean, the salary wage lines are almost consistent with the same formula. It's just that-
Sit up in the chair, Joe.
Just that certain budgets are larger than others, so they're gonna have significant.
It's, each one is not the exact same percentage increase. Some are more than others, and I guess I'm wondering why. Like, for example, the first one, Human Resources Director, is a 150% increase, as many of them are, 25%. So I'm just kind of wondering why some are more than others.
So this one is because we had a few employees transfer, so we had to add a few dollars to that one to cover ongoing. It's okay in the budget, it's just in a temporary budget, it wasn't. And then the other line items.
When Director Thunberg took over, we reshuffled employees from various divisions.
So apparently the director's office, while in January had X amount of people, now has Y. Actually, it's probably just one employee, it's just the director himself.
Yeah.
So just projecting that his salary went up. In December, he was deputy director, so when he was director, his salary went up. And Nancy, she retired, so her salary was not factored in at that point.
Certain divisions have overtime, other divisions don't, so we just try to project certain trends and continue it. For the most part, it's roughly half of what the initial introduced budget was, to sustain another 2 months or so until we.
Maybe this may be easy, not take a long time. Would you be able to, anything that's more than, say, 75% increase, if you can just highlight and tell us why. Not that, I understand the budget process is where we ask all the questions, but I also, just want to be aware, so if there's a department that's running major overtime now, we start to become aware of it now versus 2 months from now.
Sure.
Is that something you can do, John?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bob.
Yes, sir.
Actually, added to what the Councilman James Solomon said, because they increased the dollar amount. If more than $3,000 increase comes from the increase of pay, other than contract increase, they should notice the city of the council. So we know that you say human resource 20,000 to 50,000, whatever that. We like to know why increase of $20,000 to $50,000, and the expenses also have a promote to director from the deputy to director. You know what I'm saying? If anything increase more than contract basis, they should be notice us that amount. So we know that. But now at the city council budget time, if we cut the human resource department, we believe that they want $1 million. We say $800,000 because I was feeling not too good. Then what happened, you guys? I mean, really? Then what's going to be happening? It's a mayor's office claim that, ask for $4.2 million, whatever $1 million, and the city council say, what the heck do you need that many people? We're going to cut the $1 million away. Then what happened to those people? They're going to lay off?
It's not that simple.
But to us it's very simple, maybe not to them.
You have to follow civil service guidelines. In that case, you would, worst case scenario, lay off
Provisional employees first. So they don't have the same protections of civil service. Permanent employees, you have to submit a layoff plan to the state, which is probably a 3 to 5 month process. So by the time the budget cycle makes its way through, you may not have a plan in place that matches the budget cuts that you're suggesting.
See, that's why the respect gives us the increase, especially payroll increase. You gotta tell us that we increase payroll except the contract increase, so by contract, we don't want to know that one because that is already, based on contract, we have to increase. But management increase, if it's a merit increase, bonus, whatever they increase, they should notice more than 3,000 increase, they should tell us that name of the person, title change, or the new job title, whatever,
Unfortunately, in this form of government,
The mayor has that prerogative, and doesn't have to, but.
No, doesn't have to, but actually, other than that, city council say, well, they increased like a $50,000 compared to last year. When I see the list of the people, same amount of employees working, but why increase of $50,000? So we chop it $30,000. Then what are you guys gonna do? No, really.
We can't chop it like that based on all these guidelines.
What guideline? Because once the budget comes to our side, this is council budget.
No, but some of them he's saying based on some of the employees, if they civil service, there's a process. So the people you really want to chop won't be affected because then those who are not permanent, those are the ones that's going to be affected because they don't have civil service protection.
That's what I'm saying. So now, we understand, that's why I told them, if it's an increase by contract, we don't wanna know. You know, because that's the contract. But without contract increase, you should know us. Other than that.
He's asking for any salary adjustment.
I understand that, I understand that.
So they have to.
Make Michael the BA, okay?
Provided a salary adjustment.
Oh, the nightmare.
That's, you know, that'll be a policy decision if that's what the administration wants to do.
Can't you do that? Sure. John?
If I get direction to do so.
Direction of who? Oh, you're above your pay grade? Okay. No, really, that is very important, because when I see that, when I get there, I find a piece of paper in the front of the city council, you know, the hallway. They have a list of that, the people to increase 20,000, 30,000, 10,000, 5,000. You know, I said, wait a minute, something wrong here. And the total amount comes $500,000. They even though increase the pay $500,000 more than what we threw that, and we don't even know that.
But they get merit raises. I mean, that's what we don't have control over when the department issues the merit raises, correct? Each department get a certain amount of merit raises, right?
You authorize the funding, but the practice of where the money goes.
We don't.
Is an executive.
Right.
Branch of
So
government.
it goes to the Barcade. Over the serve that the BA, almost 5 years in Jersey, one big mistake on your side is they put you too much salary adjust. We shouldn't do that much.
He didn't get a dime in 5 years, he was BA.
Remember, the salary adjustment account primarily was when we were out of union contracts for several years.
The last 6 months, the council has approved several legacy union contracts, on civilian side. We were out of contract for 16, 17, so those salary adjustment accounts did budget for multiple years of retro pay. You know, in 2014, we did budget for management increases. That is the last time management got raises. Every other union has gotten raises. So I would encourage this council to fund this year's budget to take care of our city managers. They deserve it.
Yeah, I would also say that human resources.
Oh, Barbara is smart, so I got nothing to say.
Human Resources has done an equity study where they compare the city's salaries to similarly situated other local municipalities. So I think that equity study, if you haven't seen it, might be able to be provided. You know, our city employees are not making, they're not making the top of what other municipalities are making.
He's not talking about city employees. He's talking about certain people that work in certain offices that got 20,000, 10,000.
But they're still city employees.
Well, there's a whole list of them.
But there was a study done, is what I'm saying. There was a study done.
He's not talking about the normal city person.
And then there are also situations where people retired or left the city, and
There were other employees that were elevated to fill those positions. So most of those times, those significant increases were to reflect the change in duties and increased responsibilities and higher titles.
On and on and on about.
It's my last opportunity.
Okay. All right, let's go.
Don't kill him on his last name. So B and C is the approval of the Jackson Hill Special Improvement District budget and assessment roll.
Just two quick questions on B. Two questions on B and C, and I don't know who answers these. One is for C, for the assessment. Like, what is the rate? They give us the numbers, but what's the actual rate that they're assessing?
I think it's based on linear foot.
Yeah, and what is the rate? Do you know? Like, sort of.
Can I see it?
Yeah,
It might actually even be.
It might be there, but I didn't.
It might even be there.
And while you're looking at that, I would like to ask all the SIDs, not just Jackson Hill, if they can provide more information when it says salaries and benefits. So, who's the salary and benefit? Yeah, and then same for the street cleaning and maintenance. What's the hourly wage? So I mean, you know, I don't know if we can ask this Jackson Hill SID to provide that before Wednesday.
You should have.
So just so we know.
We'll make that request.
You should.
Okay.
Robert, can you deal with the?
That's
Yeah.
Okay.
Just ask them to
So yeah,
itemize
just
everything.
what's the salary and wage itemization, and then.
I think Michelle should come.
And then.
She always comes, but.
Okay.
But, yeah,
Let
she
her-
always comes.
Yeah, and then to ask what the specific assessment is.
She should come and be prepared.
Not only.
So Robert, you will contact Michelle?
All SID, right?
All SIDs, yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is for all, not
Got
just
it
for
right
Jackson
here.
Hill.
Yeah.
Okay? Just making sure.
Got it.
In fact, if Michael gets on a roll, I'll send her a text.
Okay.
But you
D
should
is
send all this idea.
resolution
Yeah.
recognizing April 9th through 13th as Boys and Girls Club Week. E is thanking and honoring Teresa A. Dizon de Vega for her services as Consul General of the Philippines to New York. F, a resolution commemorating the life and times of Iris Elaine Perkins. G is a resolution designating the month of April as Autism Awareness Month in the city of Jersey City and commemorating the Light It Up Blue initiative. H, a resolution thanking and celebrating Helen's Pizzeria on the occasion of its 50th anniversary. I is a resolution commemorating the 50th anniversary of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's speech at Metropolitan AME Zion Church. J is a resolution authorizing the settlement of the suit of Sean Brown versus the city of Jersey City. K we did. L, a license agreement done every year with the Jersey City Reservoir Preservation Alliance.
Hold on.
Okay, hold on, they have an issue.
Yeah, we're gonna withdraw this, and then we have some issues that we have to discuss, with the community, so we'll put it back on. Maybe we'll table it for the next meeting. We'll just table it.
Withdraw it.
So,
Not table it?
The resolutions.
Withdraw it. Just withdraw
do
it.
do you have favor? And I
Does
don't
Steve
know-
Latham know it's being withdrawn?
The Luke Rang.
Oh, Steve Latham is not the guy anymore?
No, I think he resigned.
Yeah, we've
Okay.
been working with Luke Schrag.
Okay.
Yeah. Do me a favor, why don't you set up the meeting, you especially, and there and the school side, board aware, so I think we should organize a meeting so we can have it next, because starting April, they have to go inside to clean, all those kind of things, you know what I'm saying? All right, okay, so you're gonna do that, right? And
You want me to get your?
yes, I'm gonna be, and the Rich Gojan will be there.
And who?
Rich Gojan, councilman.
What am I doing?
That's
He's at the reservoir.
Reservoir, yes, because
Give me $5.
Goodbye. I think we're good to go.
Okay. We are to M, and that's authorizing acceptance of a grant from Hartford Financial Services Group. N is authorizing the BA to execute a discharge of mortgage affecting 257 Duncan Avenue. O, resolution of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City authorizing the submission of an application for the Jersey City Summer Food Grant Program for calendar year 2018. P, accepting an execution of the grant agreement between the city and the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs for funding under the Community Services Block Grant for fiscal year 2018. We did Q, R.
Just a
Hold
quick,
on, hold on. Go ahead.
so just quickly on P, I know Carmen's not here, but I was gonna email her to just ask how they came up with this distribution of the 900 some odd thousand. Cause there's a lot in administration, which might be justified, but I just wanted to ask about it, so. And
So
I-
what do we need? We need her to contact you, or what do you?
I can email the council. Yeah, I mean, my question that I'm having to email is just why this distribution? You know, what did they do grant applications? Why is admin 124K? You know, why is Health and Human Services 200K? Just trying to understand the breakdown.
So that reminds me, so this memo I did not get. I don't know what the rest of the city council, but you should definitely redate that. And then the same thing with the marijuana, I'll just stick on those two, because again, it makes it look like we've seen this thing in advance, and I haven't seen this until we got the agenda, so. And make sure they update that.
All right.
Okay, we're ready? R is resolution amending program contracts under the Community Services Block Grant. S, T, and U were done. V authorizes us to participate in the Purchasing Solutions Alliance Cooperative Purchasing System.
Bob, do we ever use that?
This, we can't until this gets authorized.
I know that like in the past, have we used it?
No.
So this is the first time we're doing this?
Right, there's obviously something on that co-op that we're looking to,
Okay.
purchase.
Okay, trying to multitask. Authorizing award of contract to Schulman, Wegman and Associates to provide court reporting services for our council meetings.
It's the same, right?
Same person, well, same company. She's the only person from the company who will come. And she, really, literally, she is a trooper. Z4, we're hiring forensic psychology for doing psychological evaluations of 100 police recruits. Z6, ratifying the renewal of a professional services agreement with Otto Hetzel.
Just a quick question on that. Is there any changes from the last meeting 2 weeks ago? Because it was on the agenda and then it was withdrawn.
There was something missing.
The purchase order, I think, was missing.
Okay, so it's a purchase order that's been amended? Okay.
But now, let me ask this one. The last council meeting, I asked Jeremy, Cooks and Council, what was the problem? And when you see that the 10Z6 is a contract with the company, it's scary, you know? If anybody read that, you know, their contract, the real scope of service at the term, so really, you know, I'm not feel comfortable to read that the scope of service that it's a scary matter is 1, 2, 3, 4, but now this issue come out, raise this issue based on one organization. You know, they get this some grant from the city of Jersey, CDBG fund, and they not provide certain documentation to the Department of Community Development. If that's the case, then why City of Jersey pay all those dollars? We should get the reimbursement from that organization. I'm not going to say the name of the organization, you know what I'm saying? Why we should spend $135,000 to something cause a problem by those organizations? I think it's not fair to taxpayer of Jersey City.
Well, what I'll say is that this gentleman has a specialty in this field, and the amount of dollars at stake warrants us get a professional to act on our behalf. We're talking $12 million issue here. Now, we don't want to, you know,
$12 million issue.
it could be a $12 million issue. Right, this is an issue that came up in the audit that was predates this administration, and that we are left with handling. And it's just not one issue. There were a host of other findings, and this gentleman has worked very hard at minimizing our exposure in those other ones. But there is that one last item that is pretty much out there that makes it a significant issue that we want an expert in this field.
Yes, but Jeremy mentioned that at the meeting. He said that one of the organizations.
But Councilman, if that organization chooses to ignore it, the only people that are going to get harmed is us. So we have to be proactive here.
They're gonna come to us for the money.
Yes.
It's our letter of credit that gets reduced.
That's what I'm saying. We have to defend ourselves.
Correct.
But whatever's caused because of them, then they should be reimbursed our cost.
Well, that's a separate issue we can address after this case gets resolved. But let's take care of the major issue first, and then see what we can do afterwards.
And that organization still get the CDBG fund from the Jersey City?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a recommendation to the council that the council can choose to continue to award.
Yeah, I think that's nothing. But anyway, it's okay.
All right, someone sing the sweet song at 8:32.
Motion.
We have a motion by Council President, seconded by, first by Councilperson Waterman, to adjourn at 8:32. Councilperson Ridley. Prinzary. Bagiano. Yun. Solomon. Robinson. Waterman. And Lavaro. Mr. Rivera has been missing all night. He's been absent.